on the opening drive, presented by Sumner One.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis at 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler, with Brooke Grimsley and Super Bowl champ Carey Davis. I'm Randy Karraker. Happy Taco Tuesday to you. If you're tuned in on the old Air Alliance team studio cam, you can just go to YouTube and go to 101 ESPN STL. Please subscribe to us. I think that's our goal here with the studio cam, is to get more subscribers on the YouTube. So we're going to just ask you for your subscription to our YouTube channel. Don't cost nothing. How are you guys doing?
I'm good.
Doing well.
Good. How about you? I'm doing well. I'm wearing my Mizzou gears. Carey, you aren't wearing your Mizzou gear.
No, I don't. I only own one Mizzou shirt. It says Mizzou Dad. I've only worn it one time, and when my daughter graduates, it'll say Mizzou Dad Grad or something like that. I'll just put Grad on. I don't need an entirely new shirt per se. I can just add Grad to that one and go about our business.
Get some letters at Hobby Lobby. Yeah.
We'll get the letters at what team was it in the World Baseball Classic that had the letters from us?
It was Great Britain.
Great Britain. Yeah, get those letters.
Just hanging off.
Yeah, barely, yeah.
So, I know that we're all going to be, on December 29th, though, we're all going to be posted up rooting for the Tigers. M-I-Z.
Crickets. Crickets.
Oh.
Yeah. Against Ohio State? Are we all going to be rooting? Big Ten versus SEC?
Yes.
I don't know that we're all going to be rooting.
Well, you're telling me that you, a graduate of Illinois, the man who complained about the greatest jobbing in your personal sports life being against the Ohio State Buckeyes, and you're going to root for them?
I am not. I'm a Big Ten guy.
Don't do this.
I will do that.
That's unbelievable.
Who do you think I'm rooting for in Michigan and Alabama?
Your blood curdle in every other scenario.
Who do you think I'm rooting for in Michigan and Alabama?
Unbelievable.
Who do you think?
How do you not hate them enough that it overrides everything?
I do.
Brooke, as we can tell him, though.
Yeah.
I don't hate them more than I hate the SEC.
Well, she grew up a Tennessee fan. I grew up a Mizzou fan, and we're aware, and especially because of my proximity to Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio State, watching them over the years on TV. In the SEC, it means more.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. Randy, I said that so many times yesterday, and CD didn't appreciate it for some reason.
I don't know.
But the committee said the same thing too, CD.
Clearly. That don't make it right. And, I was thinking about the politics associated with what took place over the weekend is just damn ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
The SEC, we're going to get the SEC. And maybe the SEC is good, but SEC is like any other conference. You got a couple of good teams, and then everybody else is everybody else.
Here's the thing. You know why this all occurred? And I haven't read this, but I remember this vividly. The reason that we have the 4-team playoff is that in 2004, we had the BCS, and we had 3 unbeaten Power 5 conference champions. And Oklahoma played USC for the championship, and Auburn was on the outside looking in, and everybody said, oh, my God, we've got an unbeaten Power 5 champion. We need to make sure that this never happens again.
Man, here we go. Here we go.
And it's like that committee completely forgot the reason that they have the college football playoff.
It's
all right,
ridiculous.
Let's start with the Blues. The Blues are...
Yes.
What's the old line? If you want to be the best, you got to...
If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man?
Yeah, so the Blues are the Stanley Cup champions again, I'm glad to tell you this morning.
No.
Yep, last night they played the Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. This is a weird Blues team, I'll tell you. They're weird. 1939 into the game, Carey's guide put the Blues on the board.
Toropchenko to the corner, looking for the trailer. Sundqvist to Letty. Right point, Parayko. And a shot gets blocked to the near wing. Fired on by Toropchenko. Logan Thompson is saved. Parayko again with a shot. He scores! That puck might have been tipped in front by Toropchenko on a wrist shot from Parayko. And the St. Louis Blues, with 20 seconds to go in the first, take a 1-0 lead.
Toropchenko does get it from Parayko and Sundqvist.
I mean, it's amazing what happens when you shoot the puck and you stand in front of the net.
Yeah.
Good things happen. You stand in front of the net, and sometimes pucks bounce off of you into the goal. It's amazing. This team, what I saw, it's infuriating, if I'm going to be honest, because you see the effort, the energy. The third and fourth lines for me were getting after it. I loved it. I love how they just forecheck and get after the opposing team. You see this ability why can't you see it every night? And I think that's the million-dollar question. If you see this every night, this team could be a really, really good team. That's the problem for me, is the fact that I know you can do it. That means you got to go do it again. And if you don't, that's the part that I think leaves Blues fans just scratching their head every single night.
I'll get to my theory on this in a moment, but we got to tell you that Jack Eichel scored at 12:58 of the third to tie the game at 1. That was on the power play. So the game went to overtime, and in overtime, the Blues' most gifted player won it.
Buchnevich is going to take it over the line. Blues will make the change. Buchnevich sends it back to Robert Thomas at the blue line. Stick handles through some trouble, gets it to Buchnevich, drives, he scores! Bring out the Zamboni! An overtime game winner for Buchnevich, and the Blues defeat the Knights 2-1.
Karraker with one of the assists, and with the primary, our guy, Robert Thomas.
Yeah, he's a good player. Thought his pass was going to be a little bit flatter for me, but made a good move, got the goalie off his post, and was able to kind of slide it in on that short side. So, big goal and a big win for us.
It was a big win, and as we speak, and I guess I'm gonna keep doing this because it happens. The Blues are in the second wild card spot right now in the Western Conference, 27 points, 1 behind Arizona. Okay, here's my theory. I think the Blues players generally are like us; they're fans, and so they play a team like Arizona, who historically have not been that great, and they say, "Oh, that's a game we should win." And then I think they take the ice with that thought process, right? We think, oh, should beat Arizona, but then Arizona beats them 4-1. Then they kind of get desperate. Say, well, Vegas is a team that's better than us. We better play really hard so we can stay in this game. And they play really hard against a team like Vegas. And it's unbelievable how this team plays to the level of their competition on a consistent basis.
And they just need to figure out a way to build more consistency where you can finally get more of those winning streaks. But honestly, to the point of where you're talking about where they are right now when it comes to wild card, with what they're doing right now, it's not exactly a terrible thing when it comes to it's not affecting them that much. But I think we would all just like to see that consistency where they could at least build a stretch of games, a stretch of wins in a row. But there were so many encouraging things from last night. One, Colton Parayko, the fact that he was really able to shut down that top Eichel line was so impressive. I think he had almost 26 minutes or near that, if not more. And his presence was seen and heard. And then also on top of that, we had Curbs on yesterday, and he talked about the goaltenders. He said goaltenders needed to be better, and Jordan Binnington, that was 2019-esque. Sometimes I don't think it's fair to do that comparison of just like, okay, we're going to keep comparing your best every single time, but that was very 2019-esque of Jordan Binnington. That was one of his best games. I feel like maybe this season and probably even in recent years. 20 high danger chances, and he stopped all but one of them. He was the main reason. I would say maybe like 95% the reason why they were able to come away with an overtime winner. Yeah,
against a really highly skilled team. Blues outshot 34-27. And Brooke, to your point, Parayko against... I don't think it's even arguable. I think the Knights are the best team in the league. And to shut down that level of talent on that top line, Parayko playing 25-56, it's a pretty good night for him. That
was a really good night for the Blues. And you said, Curbs talked about it, you hit the nail on the head, just the goaltending. Bennington was locked in, dialed in from the moment the puck dropped, and you could tell. It's almost like he listened to our show yesterday. Like he heard
said, I'm gonna take that.
talking about how poor the goalies had been playing, and he decided, you know what, I'm going to go out there and show. And he played extremely well. And the Blues team, they played well. And again, this is the part where you scratch your head because they get to play this team again tomorrow. And if they show up in the manner in which they did yesterday, last night, okay, this team can be really good. But if they show up lackluster, drained, missing, and just not present, you're going to wonder what the heck is wrong with this team. And that has been the roller coaster that we have been on all season long.
Vegas tomorrow night, and then on the road against Columbus and Chicago on Friday and Saturday. Meanwhile, Monday Night Football, Bengals over the Jags 34-31 in overtime. The big story of this game is that it looks like Trevor Lawrence has a high ankle sprain. It looked like a broken ankle at first when he got hit late in the fourth quarter. And the Bengals win at 34-31. Jake Browning, their quarterback, 32 of 37, 354, a touchdown and no interceptions. And I love the way coaches are finally figuring things out. Now, you have to build talent, right? But Brock Purdy walks into the 49ers and they say, just get the ball into the hands of the playmakers. You don't have to do an awful lot. I think for the first 15 throws that Jake Browning had last night, they averaged something like 4 yards in the air. Get the ball in the hands of your playmakers and let them make plays. Browning goes, as we mentioned, 32, 37, 354, touchdown, no interception. This is something that Mike Martz did very well early on with Kurt Warner, and then he let Kurt rip with the bombs later on. But Browning is a guy that they aren't going to win because of, but I think they can win with.
The amazing thing, the hardest thing to get a quarterback, a young quarterback, a new quarterback to understand is, if you throw that ball at the line of scrimmage and he runs it 80 yards, it still says an 80-yard touchdown. Yeah. It doesn't have to go 75 yards in the air for it to be an 80-yard touchdown. You can literally throw the ball on the line down the line of scrimmage and he takes off and makes plays. That's what you want to do. Get your best players the football quickly. Jamar Chase is one of those guys, 11 catches, 149 yards, and 1 touchdown. Get him the ball early and often. They also ran the ball really well last night, which is something that they have not decided to do all season long. Chase Brown, former Illini ILL, had a really good game, as well as Joe Mixon. They went over 100 yards total for that game. So that's the recipe for them to be successful. Get the ball to Jamar Chase, run the ball effectively. You would like them to play a little bit better defense. Giving up 31 points is going to cost you in a lot of games, but they were able to get the field goal late there and win the game.
As a Jamar Chase fantasy owner, I also really like that idea.
Did you come back and win last night?
No, because
Who are you playing?
I was playing you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you had a very good lineup this
I thought
week.
I put it away, and I didn't even think about the fact that you could have threatened me last night. So I really didn't, because I had DK Metcalf on Thursday, and then I had Debo go crazy on Sunday, and I thought, I'm good. And you had a good week, Brooke.
I did, but then you had an even better week.
141 to 127. We had a good game.
I gotta tell you guys, it's really a 2-team race here.
Yeah,
okay.
It is.
It's 2 teams at the top. I don't know.
I'm rooting for you, man.
I appreciate it.
T-Bone Crushers and some team named CDs, TDs. I don't know who that could be.
Yep. It's 2 teams.
Kyler's film room needs a little work. The baseball winter meetings are going on. I walked into the office today on MLB Network, and they've got this massive bulletin on bottom third. Source, Brewers sign... I think it was John Gray. No, it wasn't John Gray. Who was it? John somebody. Anyway, hadn't pitched in Major League Baseball since 2021. That was the big news out of the winter meetings yesterday.
This has been, I think everybody was hoping for a hot stove, but it has been ice cold so far. Maybe things will heat up here soon, but it really doesn't feel like it, that you're not getting much other than, I felt like the big story coming out, if it was a big story, but it was very obvious, John Mozeliak saying that they're looking at trading Tyler O'Neill, that's something that they are interested in doing. And I think everybody here in St. Louis said, yeah, I would have guessed that.
How about Ellie Marmol did?
Yeah, that felt like very obvious, but he's putting it out there. So that was about the most interesting thing that I noticed yesterday.
I think we all knew that at some point. I think everybody.
I think Tyler knew that too.
I think that was kind of a conversation. Are you all intrigued by what they said? The reason that there aren't enough at bats potentially with Edman, Walker, Newt, and Carlson. Is Carlson a name that you expect to be here or expected to be here?
I would think so, simply because you have so many. Cardinals historically have a lot of injury issues. Sometimes they have guys who have bad back.
How long that's
about a week back.
Oh no, somebody down in Nashville needs to ask John Mozeliak about if this is going to be addressed. That needs to be question number 1 today.
Are we going to worry
back
about
issue?
Ask him that question. But here's my thought process with Dylan Carlson. I think it's probably twofold, and one of the things that happens, Brooke is looking into her camera. One of the things that happens, teams find out about their players when they put them on the market and find out the interest that other teams have in their players. My guess is that maybe around the trade deadline, everybody wanted Dylan Carlson, or maybe the Cardinals took a step back and said, oh, maybe he is more talented than we thought he was. Because remember, he was a cold dead hands guy.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they determined, okay, maybe this is just a product of injury and our misdeeds in not maximizing him. Maybe we need to do a better job of taking a look at this guy's talent, because he is very talented, and people around baseball continue to say it.
But he also has to stay healthy,
yeah.
right? He had the hand, was it hand or wrist a few years ago, and then last year he, again, spraining your ankle running out of the batter's box still bewilders me. I don't understand how that happens and how you end up having to have surgery behind it, but you have to stay healthy. And I think he had another injury during the year as well. Was it his back as well?
I think it was, yeah.
I think it was. So you have to stay healthy. If you are a guy that is talented and have the ability to play, at a high level, no one knows, or really no one cares if you can't stay healthy.
And I think the Cardinals need to call Atlanta, because Atlanta had, as we've mentioned numerous times, they had 8 guys that played 130 or more games, and then the other position was their catchers.
Yes.
And they split time to good catchers in Murphy and d'Arnaud, and it was like 112 and 60 or something like that they played in. So maybe what the Cardinals need to do is find a way to get their guys to stay healthy. Maybe it's not on the guys as much as it is the organization to maximize them.
Yeah, there's many other organizations. I know that we're going to dive into this more, but I think that just reading the tea leaves of what Mozeliak said yesterday, there is a plan. And one thing that CD that I think you'll find very encouraging is that they're going to give defined roles to these players moving forward, because the defensive miscues that you saw last season, all of the carousel that we saw in the outfield, I think that Mozeliak at least was hinting towards that's not going to happen again this season. Hopefully, barring health, of course, is a big part of that, because when you had the starting pitching struggle like it did last season, plus you had all of the defensive guys coming in and out, different positions, moving around, that I felt also added to the issues they had, and they realized they can't do that again this season. So I thought that was something that was interesting. I know we'll talk about here a little bit more.
No infielders in the outfield.
Yep. And one other quick note for you, the 4 finalists for the Heisman Trophy, which will be awarded on Saturday. LSU's Jaden Daniels, Oregon's Bo Nix, Washington's Michael Penix Jr., and Marvin Harrison Jr. of Ohio State. My guess is that somebody somewhere may have given a vote to Cody Schrader. My guess is that Cody will at least have received a vote in the Heisman Trophy ballot.
At least a vote. By the way, he did win the Burlsworth Trophy last night.
Yeah. So
congratulations for that.
To Cody Schrader. Coming up, John Mozeliak has started the winter meetings and spoke to the media yesterday. We'll hear what he had to say next on 101 ESPN.
In the outfield right now, if we were to play tomorrow, it'd likely be Newt, Tommy Edman, and Walker. And so, our fourth outfielder would be Dylan Carlson. But obviously, we're going to go into camp. We're going to see what that looks like. Tyler O'Neill is somebody that we are listening to on trades. Getting a lot of hits on our outfielders, and we're just going to see what that does for us. But overall, we like our everyday club, so we're not really in a market to try to do much there, other than see what we might be able to get for one of those players.
That's the Cardinals Pobo, John Mozeliak down in Nashville at baseball's winter meetings, and I think it's safe to say that Tyler O'Neill will not be a member of the 2024 Cardinals.
What gave you that indication? Was it Ollie's? Well, first, should we start even sooner? Should it be the kerfuffle that we had between Ollie and Tyler O'Neill, or was it the comments at the end of the season where Ollie said, what was it that he said again? He said, we got to weed out some guys.
Those people that only concern themselves with themselves or something along those lines.
And then you pair it with this. Yeah, I think he's not going to be here.
Yeah.
I think
that's the way it goes.
I think we saw that early in the season. I was surprised again that he made it through the trade deadline. I thought that, he had started playing well, and I was like, this is the perfect time to move on from him. But I think they kind of bought into the fool's gold and believed that he was going to stay healthy. And so, you kind of went down that road again, and unfortunately went back to what it was normally. And here we are. For me, Tommy Edman in center field, I thought he played outstanding. Who's going to be your second baseman?
It's got to be Donovan.
It's Donovan.
No doubt.
And then when is he able to?
Is he going to be ready to go by spring training?
He should be able to pass a physical by the first of the year.
Okay. Well, hopefully we are. He's your everyday second baseman. Tommy Edman's your everyday center fielder. Yep. And they're going to play 130 games there.
Hope so.
Apiece at each spot.
Hope so.
Respectively. Okay.
That is the hope, and I think that's what Mozeliak is wanting. I think that what is interesting is, Tommy Edman is going to be your center fielder. You just mentioned that Brendan Donovan is going to be your second baseman, and then Mason Wynn is going to be your shortstop. But I think that there's a lot of things in line where if Wynn doesn't progress and then the way that they want him to do hitting-wise, then you have that ability to have Tommy Edman be your shortstop again. Maybe, especially if Wynn isn't making that progression that they are looking for quickly. And then you can have Dylan Carlson as your fourth outfielder, who is a great center fielder, and hopefully he will be healthy. Now, I say all this because there's a lot of hopefullys involved with this, right? Everything kind of has to go according to plan for it to all work out. We saw how quickly that can dissipate based on what we saw this past season. But I do think that Mason Wynn is very, very talented. I know that some people weren't as high on him because his offensive numbers, as we saw last season, I think he had like a 172 average. We saw that he struggled at the plate, but I think that he's very talented, and you just hope that he can continue to grow as a hitter.
And while he didn't perform well once he got here, he did have a very good year down at Memphis. Hit .288 with an .833 OPS, 18 homers, 61 RBIs, and stole 17 bases. So his entire minor league career would lead you to believe that he's going to be a good offensive player. And scouts say that the talent is definitely there. So, John Mozeliak, in terms of putting this team together, where are the Cardinals right now?
Well, expectations are high. You don't go and do what we just did hoping to just get back to 80 wins. I mean, our expectations are to put a real team out there that not only will compete for our division, but hopefully play into October. But I think when you look at our club overall, especially from a roster standpoint, we have great balance. Obviously, a Mason Wynn, Jordan Walker, these guys are only 22 years old. Yeah. And then you couple that with a Goldie and an Arenado, we really do feel like we have great balance. And so, obviously, we're going to have someone step up, someone emerge to be the next superstar. But, we have a lot of confidence in our everyday lineup.
And they should. They should have confidence in their everyday lineup. It's just a matter of now having those guys perform up to the expectations that the organization has for those guys.
I noticed that you perked up when he said 80 wins, Randy.
Yeah, because
Why
that was my thing. I said if you're building a team to get back to 500 and spending that much money, a record amount of money for the Cardinals just to get back to 500, then it's a waste of money, right?
Yeah.
If you don't, 81 and 81 doesn't get you to the playoffs. So if it's not going to work, then it is theoretically a waste of money.
Well, yeah, and the fact that what I took away from that is he said not only win the division, but have an opportunity to go on in October. That to me stood out because what I've heard over the last, in recent memory is, we want to win the division. Like that's the end all be all. We just need to win the division. No. You want to win the division. You want to compete in the division, but you also want to have a team that can sustain that and be better than other divisions when playoff time comes. Not just beating the Cubs or the Reds or the Brewers. That's good. The Pirates, that's wonderful. But can you beat the Dodgers? Can you beat the Braves? Can you make it? Can you beat the Phillies? Can you make it to the World Series by beating these other teams? And the roster that you put together, or the team that you put together last year, obviously wasn't going to win in this division, but would definitely is not going to win against the Braves or the Dodgers or some of those other better teams. So finding a way to put a team together, pitching, hitting, and collectively that can win in the division and beat some of those great teams.
And one of the things the Cardinals did last year is they put too much stress on their bullpen, and that caused the Cardinals to have an extraordinarily high number of blown saves. Well, now Mozeliak has the only staff in baseball with 4 starters that threw 180 innings last year.
It really was. You think back to 2023, we've unpacked in 100 different ways. We know it didn't go well. We tried to figure out where we could improve, and rotation was something that was really glaring to us. And so when we were looking at the market, trade market, free agent market, we really identified guys that understood what it was like to go pole to pole, understood what it's like to take the ball, and really from a cultural standpoint, all 3 of these guys, I think, will be a great asset in our clubhouse.
Obviously talking about Sonny Gray, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, adding them to Miles Michaelis, who threw the 180 innings last year too.
Yeah, and that's why this is so important defensively, that they really establish these roles, because Michaelis and Lynn are very fly ball heavy. So you're going to have to make sure that everything is pretty much set behind. And I know that there's some people who understand why Tommy Edman is the right answer right now for being their center fielder, but I still see on social media people bring up his arm strength. I don't know about you guys, but I thought he displayed his baseball IQ last season, and he brought some stability to the team defensively, which is something that they were desperately needing. So I feel like if you're able to lock that down behind Lynn and Michaelis, that will really help this team out for at least building towards something.
Well, and the other thing is that he, Edman, is an extremely he's a gifted player. He's an innate player, and the cutoff man is the Kingswood Cannon. So just get the ball into the hands of Mason Wynn and let his arm do the work.
Yeah, throw it halfway. Yeah, throw it all the way there.
Oh, no, we already got a Kool-Aid comment this morning. Are we being too Kool-Aid? We're not being Kool-Aid this morning, drinking the Kool-Aid.
I don't think I've said.
Well, here's one from
It is what it is right now.
Is Kool-Aid getting back to 500?
Here's 618 says, maybe y'all should hold Mo accountable for doing the same crap year to year. This isn't a playoff team. They aren't much better at all than last year.
Okay. With all due respect to you, if you can give me the examples since John Mozeliak became the general manager of him going out and getting 3 starters that threw 180 innings the year before, give me one example and I'll assume that there are 100. So where's that from? That person? That
618.
Okay, 618. If you please do me a favor and just from 2008 to 2022. Please provide me the example of John Mozeliak going out and getting 3 starters that threw 180 innings the year before. Now, I understand that they weren't great, and that's why I said on our air.
You did.
If you are going to do what you've done, you've gotten yourself maybe back to 500. If that's drinking Kool-Aid, so be it. But again, you have to protect your bullpen somehow. And if you have a decent offense and you have a rotation that can get you to the 7th inning, you are protecting your bullpen and you're giving yourself a hell of a lot better chance than you had last year. I think people are looking for reasons to be negative and outraged, and this is a problem with society. Choose to be happy this morning, people.
Happiness,
okay? Happy.
Peace.
Smell the flowers. Blow
Drink
out
the Kool-Aid. No, don't do that. Okay.
I think drinking the Kool-Aid would be saying, these additions have put the Cardinals in a position where they should be able to win the World Series. I don't think anybody here even talked about them making the playoffs.
No, and if anything, with me being positive about things defensively, that was the big issue we talked about. The carousel that we saw in the outfield was ridiculous last season. We said that. I like that they are actually admitting that they need to have more defined roles going into the season. That should be a good thing, because defensively you have Gold Glove winners on this staff. That is something that is a huge asset. And I think locking down those roles, they will actually be able to do what they need to do instead of wondering what position they're going to be playing the next day.
And I'm still waiting. Let's see. I'm still waiting for the 618 to weigh in here.
You just want to wait till we go to break.
Yeah. So let's see. Doing the same crap year to year. It's that he doesn't do enough year to year to make the team better, you dope. I just want to hear your example. Now you're trying to change the subject. Let's stick with your subject, okay? Your subject, not mine. Give me the 3 names. Okay? I appreciate it. Thank you. And thanks for listening. We do appreciate it. Coming up, do the Blues have a problem with their balance of skill versus will? That's coming your way on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you haven't nailed down health insurance for 2024, you need to get started right now. And that's why you need to talk to my friend Jordan Krugman. He is the health insurance guy at thehealthinsuranceguy.net. Jordan's number is 314-602-4055. We went to high school together, Parkway North alums, and Jordan is an expert in the healthcare industry. He knows that health insurance is very complicated, but he's going to make it simple for you with access to a wide variety of plans. He's going to find the right plan for the right people at the right price. And he has a great story. A client's son recently got injured playing soccer, took a trip to the ER, and due to how Jordan structured their plan, the $5,000 deductible was waived, and they only had to pay $100 out of pocket. If you're on Cobra, you need to contact the health insurance guy at thehealthinsuranceguy.net. Never a broker fee, never a hidden charge, and he's going to meet you either at his office or over the phone or on Zoom, and he's going to save you money. That's the most important thing. Open enrollment for Medicare, open now through December 7th, which is later this week, just a couple of days from today on Thursday. So if you are on Medicare, you need to get that open enrollment taken care of. Do so through Jordan Krugman, the health insurance guy at thehealthinsuranceguy.net, 314-602-4055.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Last night, the Blues get back on the winning side in the desert with a 2-1 overtime victory over the Vegas Golden Knights. Pavel Buchnevich with the game-winning goal for the St. Louis Blues. Also last night in Monday Night Football, it was the Bengals over the Jaguars in overtime. No Joe Burrow, so Jake Browning stepped in, goes 32 of 37 for 354 yards, including 11 of 149 to Jamar Chase and a touchdown. Speaking of backup quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence also injured with his ankle in that game as well. Coming up later here on the show, Blues TV voice John Kelly joins Brooke, Carey, and Randy coming up at 8:45, then at 9:15, 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports college football analyst Carl Reed joins the show to talk about the college football playoff. That's your Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff. Find the road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
You've just got too much inconsistency there with certain players. And again, the sum of the parts thing, you don't have the depth. You don't, because you're a team in transition. You don't have the skill, and it is a very difficult thing, game in, game out, to bring. And that's why there's only a handful of teams in any sport that seem to do it. And that's where the Blues are at. They're working towards getting back to that mindset with everybody, and they're going to need everybody on board.
That's the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, yesterday on the opening drive on 101 ESPN, and all of a sudden the Blues beat Vegas, and...
Hey, buddy, we're here.
You bet we are.
Randy. This is Stanley Cup talk. Is that what we're doing now?
Yes, we are.
Well, I mean, Jordan Binnington didn't look like he did in 2019. I really do think that was one of the best game for him this season, but also maybe one of his best games in recent years, considering the opponent.
No doubt about it. With that skill level and what was happening in that game, there's no doubt in my mind that that was one of Binnington's best performances. I guess you could go back to the Colorado series before he got hurt. He was performing at that level. But there are going to be nights where what happens in front of the goalie is going to force the goalie to steal a game for you. But I didn't think last night was one of those nights. Even though Binnington did, that's just what Vegas does. That's just who they are. And I thought the Blues played toe-to-toe with Vegas. And it is... You'd like to see a higher percentage of games where the Blues' effort is at that level. Now, you can't do it over the course of 82, but I would like to see a higher percentage of games where, as Coach calls it, that compete level is higher from minute 1 to minute 60.
Well, I think you can do it the majority of the games. I think it's... They get enough rest, right? Mm-hmm. Your body may be sore, but you do get rest. You're not flying coach. You're not flying, you're not standing in lines and waiting to get on the plane. You're not sleeping in some of the worst hotels. There is rest associated with being a professional athlete, and it's taking care of your body and doing the things you need to do off the ice personally when your time is away from practice or from training or from meetings. Those are the things that are important. Now, if you are partying till 2, and I'm not saying that that's what they're doing, but if you are partying till 2 or 3 in the morning and you're not getting that rest, then you may come out and be sluggish the next day. That's a you thing. That's not an overall playing every other day or playing every 3 days a week type of thing. That's just you not taking care of your body and not being a professional. And those are the things that, if you're not doing that properly, you will be sluggish in the game. So for me, showing up every single night is the least the bare minimum of what you have to do as a professional athlete. Show up, be ready to work, give your best effort. That's the expectation. Now, if you're better than the other team, it'll show on the ice, but showing up and working hard should be the bare minimum of what you have to do.
And I don't think I've never considered it a physical issue. I've always thought it was a mental thing with the Blues. You go on the road, for example, at the end of December or November, and we talk about that. We joked about the Thanksgiving thing, but you lose a couple of games, 5-1, 5-1 to the Sharks and the Kings. Then you win in Anaheim and you win in Arizona, beat them 6-5, and then all of a sudden it feels like, okay, we've won a couple of games. We can just throw the pucks out on the ice. It's going to be easy, and you get drilled by Nashville by a score of 8-3. Then you beat Chicago 4-2, and then you have a listless performance against the Wild in a 3-1 loss, and then you beat Buffalo. It just seems to me like the teams that are the most talented in the league now are winning. They're at the top of the standings. The Blues are not one of the most talented teams, so they have to work harder. I get the sense that many times the Blues feel like they're better than they really are, and they can just throw the pucks out on the ice and win the game when they have to present great effort every night.
So you think that it's more of a will thing? And going
totally
into what you were saying, CD, about that's just the base of showing up, being prepared every day. That is on the players to make sure that they are doing that. And it's very interesting because we've talked about this over the past few days, but they're now 12-0 when scoring first. There is something about being ready at the very start of the game when that puck drops, and for them to be ready. I don't know what it is and how they can continue to build off of that, build some momentum off of that, but maybe that is a big thing there. And you know, you're talking about maybe not the most talented team, Randy. I know that there's maybe not a guy who's the superstar of the squad, but is Jordan Binnington, can he be the superstar for this team?
He can, but not for 82 games.
It needs to be a forward, right? It needs to be one of the guys from your top six.
And they don't have a McKinnon. It's kind of foolish to bring up McDavid in this situation because the Oilers never do anything. But the best players in the league are guys that on a consistent basis will their teams to victory. And I don't think the Blues have that guy.
You a superstar. You got to have one. Yeah. Two preferably. It helps win games. It helps win championships. It's very rare that you have a team full of no names that can go on and win a championship. The only team that comes to mind in any sport would be the Detroit Pistons when they didn't have Ben Wallace is in the Hall of Fame, but they didn't have Hall of Famers in the terms of like superstar players. They had a team of guys collectively that went out and grinded, but that's so rare.
Right. And the Blues 2019 were probably nobody on that team is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But they got a Hall of Fame performance out of the goalie. And they had, Bouwmeester was the number one pick in the draft, and Pietrangelo was annually a top 5 Norris guy. And O'Reilly had an epic playoff run. So there were a lot of good things and fortuitous things. And they did present that incredible effort every single night. Well, not every single night, but every time they won. But they had some stinkers during the playoffs. I'll never forget down the stretch. Remember when they went into Ottawa and got drilled? They were really good. They were rolling, and everybody thinks, okay, they're going to be fine. Then they go to Ottawa and just get drilled by the Senators. And I thought, man, maybe it was a mirage. And it wasn't. They wound up winning the Cup. But even that Stanley Cup championship team had their nights where they weren't that great. We romanticize that. 5 years later.
Yeah, of course, because you want to forget about the bad things. It's like any relationship, right? Any long-term relationship, you start thinking back, you're like, oh, wait, this happened? Oh, no, we don't have to remember that part of it.
But the Blues
remember the sunny parts.
Right. The Blues should be in pretty good shape here. And I say this because I'm speaking from a logical standpoint, from a physical standpoint. Okay, so you get Vegas here, and Vegas is going to be angry, and you probably tomorrow night are going to run into a buzzsaw with Vegas. But then you get Columbus, mediocre. You get the Blackhawks, bad. You get the Red Wings, mediocre. You get Ottawa, bad. Then you have Dallas. But you've got 4 games in a row after tomorrow that are very winnable for the Blues. But they're also, every game is very losable for the Blues. And I think that's the frustration that we all have.
Well, you don't know. Yesterday I said that the Blues are like, I was just trying to think of a ride where you go up and down, and immediately thought of the Tower of Terror where you go really high and then drop down. That's just what it feels like right now for the Blues. And hopefully they can break through that. And maybe this is another Kool-Aid comment, because I just like that people want to say Kool-Aid comment. And so I want to give you I want to give you a Blues one now. Is it possibly a good thing that we are at least seeing the Blues display some resilience where they are able to bounce back?
It is. Because they do have the ability to do that if they need to.
Sunshine, lollipops, I wanted to give you a Blues Kool-Aid comment.
I see it in a different way, because I see if you're able to play at that level, then you should play at that level every time.
Exactly.
But you just can't for 82 games. It's impossible. But Nobody does.
I
because
that,
Vegas last night didn't.
But the fall off is drastic. Like, if you can tell the level of effort that is being given from night to night, that shouldn't be the case. If you get beat by a better team, you're going to have some nights where, we're tired. Okay, we did have, we played 3 games this week, or we had to travel. We've been on the road for a week and a half. Okay, I get it. But it shouldn't be the first or second game of that 3-4 game stretch. And it shouldn't look as drastic as it looks for the St. Louis Blues. And so you know that they can play with anybody if they can beat the Las Vegas Golden Knights in Las Vegas the way that they did yesterday. That's the standard of who they shouldn't play less than that anytime throughout the entire season. But they have, and that's the problem that I have when I'm watching them. Is not consistent enough, and that's the part that I think as a coach is the most frustrating part. It'd be one thing if you couldn't do it or never did it, but once you do it, that's who you should be every single night.
And the Rangers have the best record in the league, okay? 2 nights ago, they allowed 5 goals to San Jose, who is the worst team in the league. Last week, the Rangers lost at home to Buffalo 5-1. There's no way the Rangers should lose at home to Buffalo by a score of 5-1, especially when they're reasonably well rested. But they did, and it just
what's the Rangers record?
Yeah, they have the best record in the league.
It happens
to every single team.
But if you're the amount of times that it happens for a really good team versus a not really good team are different. If you're a really good team and that happens, you can chalk that up and say, oh, okay. But when you're a team that is right at 500 or just above 500 and you know that can't happen. It can't happen as often as it does. If you're the Rangers, you can have a night where you stink it up and say, you chalk that up. That's not who we are. But if you're the Blues and you're a middle of the road, middle of the pack type of team and it happens, well, that's who we are. And how do we fix that?
That's right. They need to have more consistent compete. There's no doubt about it. That's Carey. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up on 101 ESPN, get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Take it or leave it coming up next on 101 ESPN. I was thinking about my friends at AutoLoanPro.com the other day because I was looking at the prices of vehicles, $48,000, $50,000, $55,000, $60,000, and it doesn't take much in terms of adding a percentage point to your financing for your payment to go through the roof. And that's why AutoLoanPro.com exists, to get you the very best financing rate that you can get, deal that you can get when you purchase a new vehicle. It's not cheap to purchase a new vehicle. And I never thought about this, but it is kind of silly for us to go into a finance office at an auto dealership and just take what they offer us in terms of a loan when you can go to autoloanpro.com, and they're going to work with over 50 lenders to help get you the very best financing on your new vehicle. Little to no money down. They're going to work to get you the best rate possible, and they know that at autoloanpro.com that you can have a little hiccup with your finances and your credit rating cannot be what you want it to be, but you can still get a great deal on a great loan from autoloanpro.com. Financing a vehicle? There's one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro. autoloanpro.com.
Or leave it.
Want to say something? We put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Time to take it or leave it on 101 ESPN. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. All right, guys, got a question for you. And I know Carey is not going to like this at all, but I'm still going to use it as my Tioli. Okay, NFL quarterbacks that have been injured this year for the season: Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins. Others that have been injured. Now, Trevor Lawrence with apparently a high ankle sprain, Kenny Pickett. Kyler Murray just got back. Justin Fields has been hurt. So you've had basically a third of the league's quarterbacks and some of your biggest names that have been hurt this year. Take it or leave it, the NFL should institute a different rule for quarterbacks to be hit. Whether it's a buzzer or whether it's a flag, quarterbacks should not be allowed to be hit because they're the most important players on the field. They're your biggest investment, and you really can't afford to lose them for a season.
Leave it. Just take the pads off, man. Like, we talked about this yesterday. There were two plays yesterday that I watched. Patrick Mahomes got hit inbounds. You hit him too hard. Oh, don't hit him that hard. He's a football player, man. At least I thought. Russell Wilson.
But he's also the most valuable football player, so you don't care about that. So Randy, you would have been happy in 08 if Big Ben tears up a knee.
Big Ben is 6'5", 270 pounds. If he gets hit, he's probably going to hurt the person that's hitting him.
I saw Joey Bosa get torn up.
Here's the problem that I have with that. You are a part of your own safety. You have to take care of yourself. If you don't want to get hit, get down. You know who never got hit? Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning didn't take big hits. You know why? Because Peyton Manning is pretty damn smart and understands that he's not going to withstand those type of hits.
But
so what
not
did he
everybody
do?
has that innate ability to avoid.
Who the hell's fault is that? I can't tell a player don't hit him hard because he's the quarterback. Do you know what I want to do? I want to win. So if the quarterback, do you think anybody on Cincinnati felt bad when Trevor Lawrence went down last night?
No.
You know why? Because they want to win.
Yep, but everybody in the NFL knows that the value is in the quarterback.
I understood.
If you're the league.
Therefore, they get paid $50 million a year.
Right, and if you don't have them on the field, it hurts your product. That's my point.
Nah, I'm going to leave that.
You don't think it hurts the product to lose quarterbacks?
I think
does,
it hurts
but you
the
have
product.
to leave it.
I think I care more about my team winning. If that quarterback doesn't want to get hit, he should get down. They have enough rules to protect them in the pocket, outside of the pocket. The calls that they make are egregious to defensive players, and I didn't even play defense. I would be, if I was a safety or a linebacker in the NFL right now, I would be broke.
Carey, the game that they play now, and this is 15 years later, is completely different than the game that you played. It's a different sport.
It's protecting players, but there is some you are supposed to protect yourself as well. Patrick Mahomes don't want to get hit. Get your butt out of bounds. You don't get hit. You're trying to stay in and get an extra yard, and you got knocked down. That's my fault. And then I penalized the defender. 15 yards, which can cost somebody money, job, championships.
You know, have you guys ever played it? You guys might be too young for this. The game Operation.
Oh, yeah.
So there's got to be like just a buzzer all over the quarterback's body. So if he gets touched. Yeah, and it doesn't buzz him. I mean,
it buzzes the ref.
Yeah,
blow the whistle.
Yep, and he's
or just do blow the whistle. Blow the whistle. What was that? Little Giants. Yeah. He can put his arm here. Blow the whistle. Don't hit me. Sickening.
Randy wants flag football. That's what you want.
Well, for quarterbacks. And by the way, I loved the game I grew up watching. I'm not a huge fan of the product right now. I loved real football. And the greatest show on turf played real football. I'll never forget the hit Isaac Bruce took. It was the Sunday before 9/11. Rams are coming back at Philly. He's on the sideline, and he gets drilled. And Isaac gets back up, and the Rams go down, and they score the tying touchdown. Marshall Faulk scores, and they go into overtime, win the game. I was watching Toby Wright highlights this morning. I love the way Toby Wright played the game. He killed people, and I wanted that. I liked concussions, but I also understand where they are now.
The Rams receivers protected themselves as well. They would run, get as much as they could get, and got down because they didn't want. That's on the player, man. It's player safety. It's not on the referees to be solely responsible for player safety.
But one of the problems, Carey, is that the rules have made players fearless, like they don't think they're going to be hit. That's a problem.
That's your problem. I'm trying to hit you.
Right.
I don't know. They
think if they get hit, there's going to be a penalty.
Well, it might be. I might be penalized, but I guarantee you're going to know you got hit. I'll take the 15. Coach, that one's on me.
First 15's on me.
On me. So, speaking of quarterbacks, we saw the injury to Trevor Lawrence last night. Take it or leave it, the Houston Texans win the division in the AFC South.
I'm going to have to take it.
But don't sleep on the Colts.
Gardner Minshew will come back to life in a minute. He's a great. I think he's, no question, the best backup quarterback in the league, and proving that he can play. He can be a starting quarterback, obviously. But I just think Houston Texans are a much better team with a much better quarterback.
And their 2 first-round draft choices are really playing well. Anderson's playing well, too.
Yeah, well, and don't believe everything with the Colts. They just beat a really bad team the other day.
They beat. Was it overtime? Yeah, it was overtime.
It was some, I don't know, Titans team, something like that.
Oh, no, not the Titans.
I don't know who would be a fan of that. Anyways, take it or leave it, guys. Supposedly or reportedly, Jordan Hicks is interested, or there are some teams interested in him, including the Astros and the Cardinals. Take it or leave it, the Cardinals will bring Jordan Hicks back.
I'm going to leave it. I don't think the Cardinals will go 44/4, which was the projected number for him by MLB trade rumors. I just can't imagine the Cardinals going that all in on a relief pitcher. Although they did it for Andrew Miller. But I would be surprised, knowing that they had Hicks. I'd be a little bit surprised by that.
I'm going to have to leave it as well.
Yeah, I think I'll leave it. I didn't want him to leave in the first place. Let people to throw that fast, that hard out of the door. But they felt the need to. I get it.
Wait, what position are you bringing him back as?
Hicksy?
Yeah. Relief pitcher?
Yeah,
he's want to be a shortstop.
He's your save man. He gets saves for you.
Why? What else is he going to be?
What is he going to play? Shortstop?
You guys want me to come back? I finally want to be a starter.
Oh, no, not that again. Not that again.
Yeah, because I'm sure he's over it. Take it or leave it. Tommy Edman or Brendan Donovan are no longer a Cardinal by the end of the week.
Leave it.
Ooh.
They're in place. In fact, Mo gave you your lineup, basically. Well. And Edmonds your starting center fielder, right? And Donovan's going to be your second baseman.
Maybe it's Gorman at second base. And Wilson Contreras at DH, and then Herrera at catcher.
That'd be fun. But I'm not so sure that Nolan Gorman is physically able to play 130 games in the field because of his back. I think it'd be longer than,
a week back.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was a good adapted one. Take it or leave it. Says the college football committee is scripting this like a wrestling match. At the end of the championship game, Florida State should come out of the tunnel and challenge whoever wins to a cage match for the real championship.
Take it.
I love that. If you want to talk about TV ratings, that would be some great TV ratings.
By God, that's Florida State's music.
Well, I don't know if Florida State really wants to go there. I mean, they might want to. They might want the cage match, but they might not want it after it's over.
Oh,
wow!
I think, you think
Florida State's that great?
No. I think Florida State. What I think is they got left out, and it's unfortunate. They played in a game with their third-string quarterback, a true freshman, in an ACC championship game, his first game ever, and they won. That means that is a really good team. And the second-string quarterback, who did not play due to a concussion, would more than likely be able to come back for the bowl game or the college football playoffs. I don't think that was taken into consideration. Rodemaker is a much better player than what they showed in their third-string quarterback Saturday. And so, I think it's unfortunate.
I think there's room for nuance here.
Yeah.
I think it's fair for us to say, yes, Alabama is the better team, but also fair to say that the reason we have the college football playoff in the first place is because in 2004, an unbeaten conference Power 5 champion, Auburn, was left out of the BCS. Because you had Oklahoma against USC in the championship game. And everybody said, oh, my God, we can't have an unbeaten Power 5 conference championship that's champion that doesn't have a chance to win the championship. So 10 years later, we wound up with the college football playoff.
Yeah.
No, that's why we have the playoff, because of precisely what happened this weekend.
And we did it again.
Yeah, and then we did it with the college playoff.
Look at us.
Yeah, so I can tell you that I think Alabama is better than Florida State. But fairness, what else was Florida State supposed to do? They should be in it because they did not lose a game and Alabama did.
And that's the thing, is that I don't even think it was. I feel like they were clear that it wasn't even going to be about fairness. I don't think they were going to get the 4 best records. It was more of just the 4 teams that they thought would provide the best product out there.
The thing that bothers me, and I was
and
listening
it's not right.
No, I was listening to Unsportsmanlike this morning. They talk about TCU. TCU, no one wants to see that again. TCU beat Michigan, man.
But then what happened after that, CD?
But that's a matchup problem. That doesn't mean TCU didn't deserve to be in the national championship game. That's a matchup issue. Sometimes you play against a team that, hell, it don't matter where you play, when you play, they're just going to beat you. They are a better team. That doesn't mean that they didn't deserve to be there.
Exactly.
That's the same thing with Florida State. They deserved to be there. Just because if they go and lose because it's a bad matchup against Michigan, no one even thinks Michigan is even that good. Well, so why would you assume that they couldn't beat Michigan?
I think Michigan is good, by the way. But
I do too, but a lot of people don't.
Here's the bottom line. What were those young student athletes? What else were the young student athletes of Florida State supposed to do?
Exactly. And it was not fair whatsoever. They did everything right, kids. And even having your third-string quarterback step up. But just one quick question, CD, because I just want to poke the bear a little bit more here. I know that it was a down year for the SEC, but in all honesty, do you think that the SEC or the ACC was a better conference this season?
I think the SEC has 2 better teams. I don't think, Auburn was 6-6, man. Ole Miss was good, but when we talk about the SEC, we're talking about 3 teams. We're talking about Bama, Georgia, LSU. That's all we're talking about. When we talk about the ACC, we're talking about Florida State, Clemson. When we talk about the Big Ten, we're talking about Michigan, Ohio State. It's really 2 to 3 teams, and we talk about an entire conference. The entire conference is good. No, it's not. It's not. Vanderbilt is not good.
Oh, don't bring up Vanderbilt. Of course, Vanderbilt was never good.
Florida was not good this year. Those aren't teams that you say, this is it. No, Tennessee ain't been good since 1999 when T. Martin won a championship.
But Louisville was the ACC's second best team, and that's how they played.
But that's this year. Clemson had a down year.
Yeah,
we wouldn't talk about Louisville as a top team in the ACC. We talk about Clemson and we talk about Florida State. Mm-hmm. That's it. We have teams in each conference, 2 to 3 teams in each conference that are elite. Everyone else is not. And so the frustration that I have, you talk about the Big 12, Oklahoma, Texas. That's it. We're not talking about Baylor may have a good year every now and then. West Virginia, how the hell are they even in the Big 12? That's it. It's a couple of teams. It's not the entire conference. And so that narrative is drives me crazy.
No conference is 100% great.
No.
But the notion that the SEC is greater it's
You know
three
why?
teams
You know why
that are
perception
heavy in that
exists?
team.
You know why
in
that
conference?
Because they've won 4 straight championships and 7 out of 9.
Who won those?
The SEC.
Which team?
Oh, it's LSU, it's Alabama, it's Georgia.
The 3 teams that I said.
Yeah. But
that's it.
But they did. The bottom line is they won it. That's why.
That's it. The 3 teams that I said.
If you're the best team in the SEC, there's a very good chance that you're the best team in the country.
I hear you. I don't agree with it.
Well, somebody else better start winning then. That's all it takes.
They would have this year if they would have done the right thing and not put the SEC team. But I don't think they'll win it this year. I think Georgia is not Georgia. I think Alabama's going to lose to Michigan.
I agree with that. I think Michigan's the best team this year.
And look, I agree with you on the part of if it's a down year for Clemson, then it's a down year for the ACC in general. They need Clemson to be better than what you saw, obviously, this season.
Thanks very much for your text. Coming up, what did Mo say and what did Mo mean? That's coming your way on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Hey, kids, the holiday season is here, and you want to make sure your home is in tip-top shape for the guests who will be visiting or staying with you. At Hoffman Brothers, consider them your North Star for home repairs this holiday season. Hoffman Brothers. They are on the web at hoffmanbros.com, or you can give them a call, 314-664-3011, 314-664-3011. At Hoffman Brothers, they can fix anything. The Karraker family uses Hoffman Brothers all the time, and I hope you will too. Again, Hoffman Bros, Hoffmann, hoffmanbros.com.
A fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
I think the key is when you're the manager of that club, you're just trying to find these guys at bats. And I think that was one of the frustrations we had last year when we got off to that slow start. Really couldn't get anybody hot. And I think in Gorman's case, Brendan Donovan, these are like young, talented players that need everyday at bats, and that's going to be the trick for us.
That's John Mozeliak. And the Cardinals tried a different tack last year, obviously, in trying to get at-bats for everybody, and they weren't very deft in doing so. And as it turns out, like he said, they needed to get more at-bats to try to get people hot, and that appears to be their approach this year. So as we go into some of the comments of Mo, he says the outfield seems set. He did say that they expect that it's going to be Lars Nootbaar in left. It's going to be Tommy Edman in center. It's going to be Jordan Walker in right. He says that. What does he really mean?
Then I hope that that's what that means, right? But he says that, and then if you pair that with his comments, too, about Mason Wynn, he did say that they would like to see more from Mason Wynn offensively, which what was his batting average? I think it was 172 is what he finished with. Of course, he didn't come into things until September. Yeah, exactly.
36 games.
So I think that hopefully that's what he means, but the fail-safe there is that if things do not start panning out with Mason Wynn, especially when they get started in spring training and the season starts and Mason Wynn is still struggling, then maybe you have Tommy Edman as your center fielder, but then he's going to be available to be your shortstop. And there also seems to be some comments about Victor Scott II being on the horizon.
Well, and Dylan Carlson apparently is going to be on the roster as the number 4. That's what I took out of it is
yes.
Dylan Carlson's going to be our 4th outfielder. They're going to try to get him some at-bats too and see if he's what they expected that he could be.
I think that's a good idea. If you want Tommy Edman to be your center fielder, let him be that every single day. Don't shuffle the guys around and have guys moving in different places. Let those 3 outfielders gain reps and take at bats and get opportunities to really play in the outfield every single day and get more comfortable. Mm-hmm. And in terms of Mason Wynn, I don't have any concerns about him. I think you would be doing him and your team a disservice. We've seen a Cardinals team have a great defender that couldn't hit really well. I mean, Ozzie Smith at one point was that. Yadier Molina at one point was that. But they are so valuable catching and fielding that you allow them to play that position. And so, I think Mason Wynn, despite if he struggles, you don't remove him from that lineup and say, hey, no, we need a bat. We got guys around you that can bat. We need defense up the middle to protect our pitchers from allowing hits up the middle and big plays.
Baseball is a marathon, not a sprint. And we are so quick to anoint a player or degrade a player. The guy needs a chance to breathe.
Yes.
He's 20 years old. He's going to be 21 years old. He needs a chance, okay? You don't want to have a player
kill his confidence
that you give up on just because he plays 30 games. And I always go back to Willie Mays. Willie Mays hit something like I think he was 2 for his first 51 in the majors. And the Giants didn't send him down, and he became Willie Mays. And that happens with a lot of players. Keith Hernandez was not a good hitter at the start of his career and became a great hitter because they stuck with him. Sometimes, every time, you have to give a player an opportunity to grow, and you can't judge him on 137 plate appearances, 122 at-bats. Okay, do you guys believe that a deal for Tyler O'Neill, that there's already a taker out there for Tyler O'Neill?
Well, if there was a taker out there, would he need to say that he is available for trade discussions, or do you think that he's testing the waters with it, or they haven't been able to have something come to fruition?
I would think that there's probably a deal that somebody will take him off their hands, and they're probably looking for a little bit more for Tyler O'Neill. By the way, if I'm another general manager, I'm not going to go to my owner and say, yeah, we should get this guy for $6 million. But there might be a team out there that will take him for virtually nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't played.
What do you get in return?
He's played 100 games in his career one time.
What do you get in return?
A lottery ticket, A-ball pitcher or something. That's what I would give up.
You could have done that. You could have gotten more at the trade deadline because he was playing well. And then, again, he got hurt. And I think that the Cardinals, again, I think that they got so excited by how well he played during that stretch that they thought, oh, this is exactly what we've been waiting for. We don't want to remove him from our lineup.
Yeah,
let's keep him here.
Seduced by him.
Yes, and then you realize, oh crap, it happened again. No, it was bound to happen again. I think Tyler O'Neill, if he can get healthy, stay healthy, and maybe he needs a change of scenery, maybe he needs to be somewhere where he can figure out how to manage his body. I think he can be a really good player. I think he will be a really good player, but it just hasn't happened consistently here, and that's frustrating for him and for Cardinals.
Yeah, the injuries have been a big part of his career, sadly, because you know that there's a lot of talent there, obviously, and when he's good, he's good. He just has to be available. That's been his biggest issue.
What's the most important ability?
Availability.
There we go. Good. And finally, is Dylan Carlson, we hear Mo say, okay, Dylan Carlson's our fourth outfielder. Do you believe him? Is he our guy as a fourth outfielder?
Well,
I mean, who else you got?
Yeah.
What you got?
Burley?
Yeah, Burley?
No,
not
in the outfield.
But they want to clean the slate and get the guys at bats. Burley seems like somebody they want to get more at bats.
Base.
But
let him get some. Let him
guy
get some
number
reps at first
67.
base.
Who's that? What's his name again?
Rafael. No, I was going to say Rafael Palmeiro.
Josh's brother.
Yeah, Richie Palacios.
Richie Palacios.
Richie Palacios. There we go.
Sorry, CD. Richie
Palacios, right.
RP. Hey, RP, what's up?
There you go.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, you were close. You were close. Yeah, Richie Palacios.
Richie Palacios. You got to give him a chance,
Oh,
don't
he's
you?
there. Yeah. I don't know. Did his name get
Did he make
brought
it?
up?
Did he make it?
No.
Okay.
My thing with Mo is he's later on he said clean the slate to open up at bats. That doesn't seem like a one-person move.
No, it's a.
And so that's kind of what I'm wondering.
Rather than trying to be the Dodgers, now they're going to try to be the Braves.
Oh, okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
So you
now,
offer
philosophically,
Jordan
that doesn't mean they're going to win like the Braves.
Oh, I
but
was
I mean,
gonna say
in
that
terms
was-
of trying to play the matchup game that the Dodgers have succeeded with playing, 6 different outfielders and moving players around like the Cardinals have done in the past, it appears that the Cardinals are going to make that 180 and try to play everybody at a position like the Braves did last year, which is I prefer that approach. I hope that they maintain that approach. I always liked it when the manager could just sit on the bench with his arms crossed and watch the game. I think that's great because that lets players
That means
play.
you got a good team.
Yep.
And guys are doing what they're coached to do. And you don't have to stress out about every single pitch or every single moment and make sure, got to get here. No. They understand it. They were coached well, and they know where they're supposed to be, and they're there. And it makes life easier.
Yeah. So I hope that that's the case for the Cardinals.
Kind of like Dusty Baker. That's why he's my
There's your fresh take on 101 ESPN. Coming up, NFL news and notes. And Carey doesn't like my idea about quarterback protection. We'll talk about it next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, winter is here. The air is getting colder. Your energy bills will be at an all-time high. Now is the time. Yes, now. Winter is the time to replace those windows with 0% interest for 5 years and 50% off of all styles windows. Now's the time to protect your family from the elements, lower your energy costs, and upgrade the look and feel of your home. New windows from Window Nation can save you up to 30% on your energy bills. Give you those envious neighbors that are peering in, trying to figure out where in the world did you get those windows. Window Nation, They're experts. All they do is windows. They've installed over 200,000 windows just last year with a 96% satisfaction rate. No follow-up service required. The average installer has over 16 years of experience. Check them out online today at windownation.com. That's 866-90Nation, windownation.com. They will get you taken care of. Remember, new windows can save you 30% on your energy bills, and Window Nation has installed nearly 2 million windows, 200,000 just this year. Check them out, 866-90Nation or windownation.com.
NFL news and notes on 101 ESPN. And after the injury last night to Trevor Lawrence of the Jags, and it appears that he's going to get away with just a sprained ankle. Sometimes a high ankle sprain can be worse than a break. Yeah. But he is going to miss some time, Trevor Lawrence is, and he joins Joe Burrow and Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones on the shelf. The Cardinals just got Kyler Murray back from a torn ACL suffered last year. The Bears have lost Justin Fields for a time this year. About a third of the league's quarterbacks have been lost to their teams this year, and I have an idea that defensive players should just be able to tap the jersey of a quarterback, and the jersey needs to have a sensor system where it buzzes for the officials, and that will count as a sack. Carey has his head in his hands saying, no, this can't be the case. What else can the NFL do, though, to protect quarterbacks more?
They can
their biggest investments.
Themselves, man. You are a grown man. You know, when you boxers, you hear the referee say, protect yourself at all times. That's your job. It's your job. I can't jump in and save you when you're getting punched in the face, sir. Keep your hands up. It's not my job to take a risk of jumping in there to save your life. Just protect yourself. And if you're a quarterback, protect yourself. Get down. Don't try. Here's the thing that and every quarterback knows this. Defensive players, during practice, right, they are not allowed to touch a quarterback. If you breathe on the quarterback, you get yelled at, cussed out, fussed at. You don't get near the quarterback in practice. So for weeks leading up to the season, defensive players are like, I got to get to the quarterback. They want to hit you. And then all practice, the same thing. So when they get to Sunday and they finally get to hit a quarterback, it is like Christmas. It is a field day. Lights are blinking. It is the skies have opened and the sun is pouring down on them. It is their day. And for you to take that away from them because a quarterback is not willing or unable, not smart enough to protect himself in the pocket or outside of the pocket, don't blame the defender for the stupidity of a quarterback. If Patrick Mahomes wants to get knocked out by Jonathan Owens on the sideline because he wants to get a half of a yard extra instead of stepping out of bounds, that's on Patrick Mahomes. That's not on Jonathan Owens. What is he supposed to do? Let him, because what will happen is he'll stop running, and you know what Patrick Mahomes will do? Keep running down the sideline. We saw it with Kenny Pickett in the bowl game when he was in college. Fake slide. Everybody stopped. He kept going. They changed the rule because of it. So if you don't want to get hit, get down or get out of bounds, make your life easier. But do not blame the defenders because of a dumb decision by a quarterback.
I don't see why you don't. I feel like that's something that is lost on the quarterbacks, is that should also be a focus of their training, right?
Yeah, they do. But they're smart enough to know that they are protected under the rules, so they can get an extra yard. Mm-hmm. They can get away with sliding late, and if they get hit, then it's 15 yards. Or if they don't get hit and they decide, okay, I'm not going to slide or I'm not going to step out of bounds, I can go get more yards myself. And so it's really an unfortunate situation for a defender because you don't know. Is he running out of bounds? Oh, can't hit him. Is he going to slide? Oh, I can't hit him. Well, he's not sliding. He's actually trying to make a first down, and it's an important situation right now late in the fourth quarter, and we got to get our offense the ball back. And it puts the defense in a bad position. People will lose jobs. People will lose their careers. Mm-hmm. People will lose money. People will lose championships because you want to protect a quarterback that doesn't have the intelligence to get down and protect his damn self.
People lose more. And by the way, it's not a matter of intelligence when you get buried by a defensive end coming from your blind side.
That's a you problem. That's a left tackle problem.
Right. But that's not a reflection on a quarterback's intelligence at all.
I'm talking outside of the pocket and not getting out of bounds or not sliding and taking a big hit, and then the defender is getting penalized for it.
Yeah.
And getting fined for it, I'm sure.
More quarterbacks or more coaches get fired because their quarterback gets hurt.
Do you know whose fault that is?
The coaches?
The scouts that draft the linemen, the scouts that draft the quarterback. Because here's the thing. If a quarterback is taking big hits, it's one of two things. Either his line isn't protecting him or he doesn't know where the ball should go and he's holding it too long. So that's a you problem. That's not a defender problem. Don't blame the defense for doing their job if you're not doing your job. And if a quarterback holds the ball, he's getting hit because he didn't throw the ball to the hot receiver that's where the unblocked defender blitzed from.
And I'm not blaming defenders. What I'm saying is, and we'll move on to the next thing in a moment, but what does everybody say? Everybody in the league, the commissioner says it, coaches say it, players say it, media says it. It's a quarterback-driven league. And to be at its best, it's going to need to have its quarterbacks.
Well, then get the people that can protect them.
Well, here, okay, let me give you a start.
Why should the defense be penalized for that?
In this past draft, because the defensive ends are on scholarship too. In this past draft, there were, of the top four players, 3 were quarterbacks. The other one was a pass rusher. 2022 draft, top 2 players taken were pass rushers. 2021 draft, you had quarterback. You didn't have a defensive end until the 8th pick. 2020 NFL draft, Burrow goes first, Chase Young goes second. 2019, Kyler Murray, Nick Bosa goes second. NFL players and people, personnel people, they recognize how valuable that defensive end is. Those defensive ends and those pass rushers are pretty darn good.
You know what I didn't hear in that list?
What?
An offensive tackle.
Exactly.
That's on the team for not protecting their investment.
Exactly.
If you got $100,000, you're going to put it somewhere where it's protected, ain't you? You ain't going to just walk around with it in your arms.
But if you're an athlete now, if you're a Nick Bosa, and you're given the choice between playing defensive end and the money that a defensive end makes versus what an offensive tackle makes, you're going to go play defensive end.
Listen, offensive tackles are a key component to any offense.
They are.
If you want to be successful and have your quarterback stand upright, you might want to invest in those guys.
And the other thing you should do is maybe try to change the sport at the collegiate and high school level so we aren't running that spread anymore.
Well, that's not.
You see it, right?
Yeah.
That's a problem, isn't it?
I mean, it's a problem, but there are coaches that get paid to develop players. That's their job.
That's why Michigan's always going to have great offensive tackles coming out because they run the offense.
That's their job.
Another big story is the Jets, and I feel like the Jets are just a soap opera this season. There's constant drama and stories coming out around them. The latest being that, according to reports, Aaron Rodgers reached out to the young quarterback and Zach Wilson, as we know, in an effort to advise him with his potential return to the lineup. But Wilson remained apprehensive due to injury risk. Kind of talking about what we were talking about with the offensive lines. Look, I don't know if I was Aaron Rodgers if I would want to return back anytime soon. But what is interesting is that yesterday, Robert Saleh, he told reporters that Wilson wants the ball. He said, let's be clear, if he was reluctant to play, guys, he wouldn't be here. So which story are you buying?
Listen, we'll know Sunday if he's playing or not. I guess. I don't know. Is it selfish if Zach Wilson said, I don't want to play behind this offensive line? Yes. Is he wrong? Not really, because you benched him. You told him he wasn't good enough, and then the offense went and did the exact same thing, maybe even worse. So maybe it's the offensive coordinator, maybe it's the players, the playmakers, maybe it's the offensive line, maybe it's all of those things combined where you're not able to have success, with this football team. And if he's saying, I don't want to get hurt, I don't want to play to help you all because I'm going to be a free agent or you're going to cut me after this year, and I want to be able to be healthy and ready to sign wherever I need to go.
That's the thing,
it's
though.
Selfish,
He needs a job, right?
It's selfish.
So he should
right
be
now.
willing to go back.
He'll have a job next year. It'll be a backup.
That's
somewhere.
Amazing.
It's madness, but I understand his side of it. Is it selfish? It is, but I can understand why he's being selfish. If the reports are true.
Yeah, if they are true. I don't know. I don't know if I fully buy into it, and I want to know where these reports exactly came from because it sounds very specific. If you're saying Aaron Rodgers reached out, then to me it sounds like the source could be Aaron Rodgers, right? Is he trying to start some kerfuffle going on there?
That could be. At that level, my hope would be that you have a guy that just wants in the worst way to compete. As bad as things are going for the team, my preference would be to have, as a fan of teams, guys who just want to compete in the worst way.
I agree. But if you have been disrespected, talked about, beat down, beat up, both on the field and off the field, you're not jumping back into that fire.
He earned the disrespect.
He did, but it ain't like they were much better with Tim Boyle under center.
No.
So at the end of the day, I might come back in and be like, I'm back. Hey.
I got to look at, and granted, I think the GM helped bring in Nathaniel Hackett, but now I got to look if I'm the ownership.
The GM, Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, exactly. I have to look now at the system that they're running because it shouldn't. Should Aaron Rodgers make that much difference that you have one of the worst offenses in the history of the league?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be better, but this is a bad offense. It's a bad scheme, and it's not very talented. So,
and it just feels like Garrett Wilson's talented. I just feel like even he's not getting the best out of this. It goes back to the O-line and them not being able to do their job, which seems to be an NFL issue at this point. If you're wanting to protect quarterbacks, as you guys are saying, if you want to protect Zach Wilson, if you want to protect Aaron Rodgers or Boyle, then you need a better O-line.
Well, they need a lot. They
need a lot of help.
Line is there's another thing. I don't know if these offensive linemen that they've drafted in the first round. I know Aloe Vera is. I just call him Aloe Vera. But he's hurt. But Mekhi Becton should be a better player. The left tackle should be a better player. I saw them be better in college, and for whatever reason, they just aren't advancing at the pro level. It's time for the fights. Carey, thanks for winning the fight yesterday.
Thank you, sir. No
appreciate that.
Yeah, take care of business.
And the fight is coming your way next on 101 ESPN. Hey, kids, we're 20 days away from Christmas, and you need to take care of your holiday shopping, and you can with a gift that your family will love, not just this year, but for years to come. And you can do it in a matter of a couple of clicks with a gift card from mysoundstory.com. What is My Sound Story, you ask? It's a professionally produced hour-long conversation in which you or one of your loved ones is interviewed by your choice of one of our professional interviewers, including myself and Tim McKernan and Anthony Stalter. It's a conversation that includes their experiences from childhood and school and career, meeting that special someone and all they've experienced and accomplished and all that you love about them. With Sound Story, you or your loved one's voices and stories are saved for your family forever. Now, you and your siblings can go in on a gift certificate for your parents and get them a sound story at mysoundstory.com. And for a limited time, enter the promo code ESPN and you get 20% off that Sound Story gift certificate. Just go to mysoundstory.com, enter promo code ESPN to get this holiday special of 20% off a gift certificate for a Sound Story. That's promo code ESPN at mysoundstory.com. Sound Story for you, for them, forever.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues with a win last night in overtime over the Golden Knights in Vegas. Pavel Buchnevich getting the game-winning goal there, and they will face off against the Vegas Golden Knights on Wednesday. It's an 8 p.m. puck drop here in St. Louis, which means a 7 p.m. pregame right here on 101 ESPN. Also last night, closing out Week 13 of the NFL season, the Bengals over the Jaguars, also in overtime 34-31. Jake Browning in for an injured. Joe Burrow goes 32-37 with 354 yards. Trevor Lawrence leaves the game with an ankle injury. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Tom. Tom, how you doing?
I'm good, Carey. How are you?
Doing well. Are you ready to take on Randy Karraker?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right, here we go. Last night, the Rangers became the fifth of the original 6 NHL teams to hit the 3,000 win threshold. Which franchise is the only one to not pass the mark? Is it the Detroit Red Wings, the Boston Bruins, or the Chicago Blackhawks?
I'll go with the Blackhawks.
Who leads the current Blues squad with 3 game-winning goals this season? Is it Jake Neighbors, Pavel Buchnevich, or Robert Thomas?
Buchnevich.
When the Steelers went 15-1 in the 2004 season, which quarterback was credited with the sole loss as the starter? Is it Charlie Batch, Ben Roethlisberger, or Tommy Maddox?
What was the third one, please?
Say that again.
Sorry, what was the third choice?
Oh, Tommy Maddox.
I think I'll go with that one.
Which program has the worst loss in college football playoff history by margin? Is it Oklahoma, TCU, or FSU?
I think it was TCU against Alabama, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
All right, we will double check our score and we will bring in Randy Karraker.
Tom, how you feel?
So-so.
So. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how so does for you. You know, Randy had a day off yesterday. He was playing golf. He may or may not be dialed in. He usually is, though. We'll see.
He's pretty dialed in.
He got his grapes coming back in. He's got his Mizzou Tiger pullover on, and he's ready to rock and roll.
One of the there's my microphone. One of the highlights of my existence in this industry is over the course of the last 5 or so years, John Hewlett of Casey has worked right next door. Now he's retired, semi-retired, but he's here a lot. And so being able to see you, man, every morning for the last almost 4 years since I've been doing the mornings has been one of the highlights of my career. Because you, man,
he's awesome.
He's such a great human being.
Very
just
kind,
one of the nicest guys. Yeah,
he is.
So, and you have the opportunity to go in and talk sports with him. Pretty cool.
Morning. I do. Yes, I do. It's pretty cool. Randy, say hello to Tom.
Tom, good morning. How you doing?
I'm good, Randy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We appreciate it.
All right, Randy, you ready?
Ready.
Last night, the Rangers became the 5th of the original 6 NHL teams to hit the 3,000 win threshold. Which franchise is the only one to not pass that mark?
Okay. The Red Wings had a lot of down years. So I'm saying Bruins have, Leafs have, Rangers have. Canadians definitely have. So now we're to Blackhawks and Red Wings. Chicago went a long time down, too. I'm going to go with the Blackhawks as the one. So I'm going to say Canadians, Leafs, Rangers, Bruins, Red Wings. It's a coin flip for me. But the Red Wings did have a stretch there with Howe where they were winning cups, and the Hawks went a long time. Oh, you know what, though? Okay, the Rangers did. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the Blackhawks. The Rangers went from 1941 to 1994 without winning a Stanley Cup, and now they've gone from 41 to now with only winning one. So that's a long time. But if they're one of the teams, then I can't count them. So I'm going to go with Chicago.
Who leads the current Blues squad with 3 game-winning goals this season?
On the heels of last night, I'm going to go with Bucci. I'm going to go with Pavel Buchnevich.
All right. When the Steelers went 15-1 in the 2004 season, which quarterback was credited with the sole loss as a starter?
2004? I'm going to go with former Ram Tommy Maddox.
Final question. Which program has the worst loss in college football playoff history by margin?
I'll do the old lifeline here.
Okay.
Cincinnati, maybe? Go ahead.
Oklahoma, TCU, or FSU?
I'm going to say Oklahoma got drilled a couple of times. TCU, that was pretty bad last year in the championship game. So this is both semifinals and finals?
Yes.
That we're talking? I don't think it was Florida State. And let's see, I think last year was 58 to something. So they lost by 50. But I'm going to put my money reluctantly on the Oklahoma Sooners. Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Sooner.
All right, we have a win in an extremely tough fight in this one. Randy Karraker back from vacation. Does he take down Tom? Or does Tom, our average Joe for the day, walk away with a win on Randy Karraker on this Tuesday? Ring that bell.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! The winner and new champion champion of the fight, Average Joe Listener.
Congratulations, Tom. You beat Randy Karraker, and you had to hit the jack to do it, and you did. You got 4 correct to beat Randy Karraker 4-3 today. Nicely done, sir.
Wow, thanks.
Impressive.
He seemed pretty shocked about it. Let's go through those questions. Let's go through those answers. Last night, the Rangers became the 5th of the original 6 NHL teams to hit the 3,000 win threshold. It is, in fact, the Chicago Blackhawks just under the 2,900 mark who are lagging behind. The current leader of the Blues squad with 3 game-winning goals is, in fact, Pavel Buchnevich after last night. Tommy Maddox went 2-1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers in that 2004 season. Ben Roethlisberger credited with going 13-0. Ironically enough, the one loss, Maddox starts, gets knocked out. Roethlisberger takes over, and that's the one game they do lose. And which program has the worst loss in college football playoff history by margin? It was, in fact, last season when TCU got drilled by 58. Before that, it was FSU in the very first semifinal ever played when they lost by 39. So a 4-3 win for Tom in today's fight. Tom, we will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining the fight today.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tom. Tom with us on The Fight on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we're going to visit a late visit with our buddy John Kelly, TV voice of the Blues, home from Vegas, where the Blues won last night. JK next on 101 ESPN. We mentioned that the holidays are right around the corner, and I know that you're getting ready probably to entertain some people at your home. Well, get started at Schnucks, and if you use the Schnucks Rewards app, you can order from their deli, and you can get food saved at the deli. You can pre-order some great plates and sandwiches and salads if you're having a party. And don't forget, whenever you go to Schnucks, you're going to have some of the best wine selection in St. Louis as well. And you can reward yourself daily with the Schnucks Rewards app, where you get 2% back on every purchase. All you need to do is download and then shop and earn and redeem. Show your barcode in the app or use your phone number at checkout, and you can get the money back when you use Schnucks Rewards. And all of the food, all of the snacks, everything that you need for your party is going to be so easy to get when you go to Schnucks. And you can order ahead and make sure that everything is there for you, and just go in and pick everything up and make your party really easy. Before you do it, though, download the Schnucks Rewards app and be ready to get 2% back on everything you get for your holiday party at Schnucks.
everything St. Louis Blues as we head into the Blues Booth. Presented by Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, a proud partner of your St. Louis Blues. Find your perfect new floor at our 4 convenient locations and online at boardwalkhardwood.com.
Pavel Buchnevich with the game winner for the Blues last night in Vegas as the Blues knock off the Stanley Cup champs in overtime by a score of 2-1 with Brooke Grimsley and Carey Davis. I'm Randy Karraker, and we go to the celebrity line now, and our friend, the TV voice of the Blues, John Kelly, kind enough to join us and get up early after making his way home. JK, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Randy?
Everything is outstanding, and what an outstanding performance by the Blues last night from start to finish.
Yeah, it was a really good hockey game, and both goaltenders were, really solid. Especially the first 2 periods. I think after 2 periods, Randy, the odd man rushes were 5-5. So both teams had a ton of chances. In particular, Binnington really had his poke check working really well and made a couple of breakaway saves. His best save was on his former teammate Ivan Barbashev on that, one-timer. From just outside the goal crease area with his right pad. So it was a really well-played game. I thought the Blues settled down in the third period, even though they gave up the game-tying goal on the power play. I thought they played a better, defensive period in the third, and obviously got the win in overtime. But, to beat the Cup champions like that in Vegas, really good, and obviously you come home with a 1-1 road trip.
Yeah, a huge performance, as you mentioned there, and also a huge performance by Jordan Binnington. That, do you think, was Jordan Binnington's best performance since when?
Well, he had a shutout this year, right? I'm trying to look back and remember when it was off the top of my head. But, I think it was one of his top 3 performances, no question, maybe top 2. Even his last game prior to that against Buffalo, he faced 46 shots and gave up 4 goals. One of them was late, and the Blues won 6-4. He was great in that game, and he's now won 3 of his last 4 starts. So I think overall he had maybe one stretch for, a week or so, a couple of weeks ago where he wasn't quite as sharp. But for the most part, he has been razor sharp all season long and has had a really good year.
JK, can you talk to us about the maturation of some of these younger players? You saw Alexandrov getting time. Toropchenko got a goal standing in front of the net. Jake Neighbors, we've seen what he's been doing. How well have these younger players been playing this season?
Well, they've done a good job. And, Toropchenko now with 5 goals. So, that's impressive. And, at times he doesn't get a ton of ice time, doesn't see the power play, stuff like that. And I thought Alexandrov played his best game of the season last year. He hasn't played a lot. And, has sat for long stretches. I think at one point didn't play for 12 games. That's hard on any player. I don't care if you're a rookie or a 10-year veteran not to play. So the one thing about Alexandrov that I really like to watch is how smart of a player he is. Center iceman, he reads the play really well, is pretty good defensively. And, we haven't seen much offense from him yet, but that could come. Who knows? Sometimes it takes younger players a couple of years to emerge and to develop that. So I think it's great. And you've got to develop your young players because, it's a 4-line game now and, the veterans need some help. And these young guys have done a good job. And obviously Neighbors with 7 goals in his last 9 games, his numbers speaks for themselves. So it's good to see.
John, for the last 3 years, ever since Alex Pietrangelo left, we as a Blues fan base have kind of asked Colton Parayko to do things that just aren't in his DNA. I thought last night was the perfect example of what Colton Parayko can be. That to me is... That's top shelf Colton Parayko right there. I thought he played really well. He gave the Blues almost 26 minutes. What were your thoughts about him last night?
Yeah, he played a great game. He really did. He was dangerous in the offensive zone. Got the assist on the first goal. Had a ton of chances. Killed plays in his own zone. He's skating so well. I really think without question he's playing as well as he ever has, and that includes the run in 19 when he was with Bouwmeester, playing against the top pairing every single night. People, they look at Pietrangelo and, he's a great player and was a great player with the Blues. But the facts are in 19 in the playoffs, it was Parayko and Bouwmeester who most nights got the tough assignment of the best line going that night for the opposition. So he's a top defenseman and had some injury problems. And I think last year he lost some confidence. But for whatever reason, he's found his game. And there aren't many right shooting defensemen that are 6'6" like him that can do what he can do. And he's been a determined, really top flight player for the Blues this year.
Obviously, the season has just been up and down for the Blues. Why is it, though, that they are 12-0 when they score first? And how can they just continue to build off of that?
Yeah, I just think it's a quirk, Brooke. It's one of those things that you really can't explain it. I know last year when the Blues fell behind, and they would tend to give up goals in bunches. And for the most part, they've cut that down. I know that, they gave up 3 goals the other night in Arizona in the first period. But the Blues have been a more resilient team. But having said that, it's a strange year in that only one game this season has there been a lead change in a game. And that was that Wednesday game in Arizona when the Blues won 6-5. I mean, one game all year, we're past the quarter pole where there's been a lead change. I don't know. I just think it's a statistical oddity. And there's not a whole lot to it, that the fact that the Blues have not lost when scoring first and have not lost when leading after 2 periods. That's great to see that, they've checked well and held leads. But as far as scoring the first goal and not losing, that's sort of something that I just can't explain. I really can't.
JK, can you talk to us about Jordan Kyrou? He has only 4 goals this season. At this time last year, I think he had around 10. He hasn't been as glaring as we've talked about in the past defensively, so that's better. But just not scoring the goals, is there a little bit of frustration setting in for him?
Well, I think that I don't. You'd have to ask Jordan that. Obviously, if he's frustrated. Obviously, he wants to score goals. He had 37 goals last year. I thought he played a really good game last night. He had a ton of chances and was skating really well and did a lot of good things. I think the biggest thing for Jordan when he's not scoring is the fact that he passes up shots. And he's always been, if you look at his numbers in junior hockey, he's always been an assist guy first, more than a goal scorer. And that's just the way he is. If he's on a 3-on-2, and he admitted to me that he'd rather make a nice assist than score a goal. He looks pass first, but he does shoot the puck at times, and he's got a great shot. I'd like to see him shoot more and be more selfish, but I do think that last night he played a strong game, and I think overall, for the most part, he's worked really hard and is better defensively. He still has turnovers and things like that, but all players do. I mean, there aren't many perfect hockey players, right? We know that. So, but I think the biggest thing is when he's not scoring, he's got to continue to shoot because he's got a great shot. So, don't fall into the trap of because you're not scoring, try to overpass. And that's the thing with me is that even though he's a great passer, he tends to overpass at times, and I think he should be a bit more selfish shooting the puck.
John Kelly, thanks so much for getting up with us this morning. I know it was a short night. We really appreciate it, and let's get him against Vegas tomorrow night here at home.
Yeah, should be another great game. That was a heck of a game last night, and we'll see if the Blues can do it again.
All right, JK, take care. Have a great day.
Okay.
Thank you. The Blues win last night over Vegas. They play Vegas again tomorrow. And then they've got a stretch where they play the Blue Jackets and the Blackhawks coming up. The Blues are going to be playing 3 of the bottom 5 teams in the league in their next 5 games. In the Blackhawks, the Senators, and the Blue Jackets. They also get Detroit. They're playing very well, and obviously Vegas tomorrow. But what the Blues need to do is move above that, playing to the level of the competition, because they know they're better than Columbus and Chicago and Ottawa. So if the Blues can take care of business over the next 5 here, they can still be in the playoff hunt. And as we speak right now, Blues hold the last wild card position in the NHL's Western Conference. Brooke, Carey, Randy, coming up, our rush hour reset on 101 ESPN.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. What does it say? Beware. If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of serious consequences from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. RSV vaccines, including Pfizer's, are available. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Hey, the leaves, they are falling, or they have fallen, and you're going to be scrambling to deal with that. And at Gutter Pros, they offer a variety of leaf protections depending on the type of trees you have and, of course, the type of gutters you have. Several that are affordable and not insane in price, and they do a free gutter cleaning if leaf protection is purchased. So if you need to get your gutters cleaned and then get protection, you can go to gutterpros.com, and that can save you hundreds of dollars, and they are not a high-pressure company. They are a really great group of people. It's St. Louis-based Gutter Pros. Go to gutterpros.com if you're in the market for gutters or leaf protection, and they do so many other things. They do soffit and fashion. They even do siding, and they have a great downtown facility, and they'll provide you a free estimate if you're within a little bit more than 50 miles of their facility. A really professional staff. They're going to come out when they provide you an estimate. They're going to tell you what it is. They aren't going to pressure you. They aren't going to say, I can give you this deal today. That's not the way they work at Gutter Pros. But if you're looking for gutters or gutter accessories, go to Gutter Pros. That's Gutter, gutterpros.com.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
That's AMCO, AAMCO.
This is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Sumner One. We're recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a rush hour reset.
9:04 in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler, with Brooke Grimsley and Super Bowl champ Carey Davis. I'm Randy Karraker, and it is time for the Rush Hour Reset. If you're just getting into your car and you weren't up late last night, the Blues came away with a victory. A 1-1 game in Vegas in overtime, and this happened.
Buchnevich is going to take it over the line. Blues will make the change. Buchnevich sends it back to Robert Thomas at the blue line. Stick handles through some trouble, gets it to Buchnevich, drives, he scores! Bring out the Zamboni! An overtime game winner for Buchnevich, and the Blues defeat the Knights 2-1.
And so the Blues move to 12-0 on the season when they score first. The only team in the league, by the way, that has won every game in which they've scored first. Why is this happening, Craig Berube?
Yeah, we feel real good when we score first, that's for sure. I mean, we haven't done a great job when we haven't scored first so far this year, and that's something we got to improve upon and correct. But when we have the lead, we play confident, and we keep coming. We keep coming. That's the key. Keep coming.
Pretty good. Right now, the Blues in the second wild card spot in the NHL Western Conference.
For them. I mean, last night was a really good win, right? Because of who you were playing, where you were playing, the effort, the energy that you showed. Now do it again. Like, I think that's just the coach and former player. Just do it again. Like, if you show me you can do something once, then I'm going to assume that you can do it all the time. Mm-hmm. So do it again.
I like the idea. You get the same team tomorrow at home.
Exactly. So is this where they can kind of break that up and down that we've seen? Because you're facing the same guys.
I don't know. Yeah. Your guess is as good as mine, Brooke.
I don't know.
This is how you have playoffs that go 7 games, because you never know who's going to win and what team is going to show up.
Never know.
Never know. No. And Jordan Binnington, that was such a great performance. I agree with what J.K. said earlier, that had to have been one of his top 3 performances. And we always talk about every season, are we going to get the 2019 version of Jordan Binnington? And I feel like he showed that last night. He was just solid. And you hope that he can continue to do that. And I do agree, some people texted in earlier when we were talking about this, it shouldn't all be on Jordan Binnington, but if you need a superstar right now, I think Jordan Binnington can fit that bill.
Absolutely. Blues and the Golden Knights tomorrow. Pregame at 7, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, 8 o'clock game tomorrow night.
Yes, it is an 8 o'clock game.
On 101 ESPN. This just in from Pat Forty, who's a real guy for Sports Illustrated. Sometimes.
A real guy. He's a real boy.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't happen at SI. Sometimes you have little AI generated people.
You don't know.
Great.
40, I'm still going to say it. He tweets, amid increased conference and campus leadership efforts to spur congressional action on NIL legislation, NCAA President Charlie Baker is expected to introduce new athlete compensation proposals to association member schools today, according to SI. And he says, Charlie Baker, in his letter to schools, quote, "We need to make several fundamental changes. First, we should make it possible for all Division I colleges and universities to offer student athletes any level of enhanced educational benefits they deem appropriate. Second, rules should change for any Division I school at their choice to enter into name, image, likeness licensing opportunities with student athletes. Right now, schools are supposed to be apart from paying the players. And Charlie Baker, the head of the NCAA, now saying that schools should be able to enter into an NIL with players directly.
My question would be, what role do the schools have in terms of what financial gain do they get from that if they are involved in the NIL deals of these young men and women? I think that would be the main question, because it feels as though the NCAA is on the outside looking in on these NIL deals, and there's a lot of money being passed around for young men and women that are playing these sports. And maybe the NCAA wants to have their hand in a part of that.
That's the way it feels, right? He writes, Baker does, these 2 changes will enhance the financial opportunities available to all Division I student athletes. They will also help level what is fast becoming a very unlevel playing field between men and women student athletes, because schools will be required to abide by existing gender equity regulations as they make investments in their athletic programs. And I am all for people in non-revenue sports, men and women, to get as much as they can. But what I do think is that the way NIL works now is at the essence, at the core of the American economic system. It's literally supply and demand. And again, with all due respect to the women's volleyball players, who I love their athleticism and the way they approach their sport, but they aren't playing in a sport that's generating $7 billion for an entity like football is. Again, all due respect, because I respect all the athletes, but there are some that are playing revenue sports and some that aren't. And to me, the ones that are playing revenue sports and are generating revenue should be entitled to more revenue. And you should get, that's why NIL works, is because you get what you are worth to the industry.
Yes.
Yeah. I think another part of NIL, to your point, and when you're talking about volleyball players, I think we get so hyper-focused on these, big deals that we hear about with football players. And, of course, as you mentioned, they are going to be the higher revenue because it's the sport that more people are paying attention to. There's no doubt about that. But NIL, I feel like, gets villainized in a lot of ways. But it's also opened the doors for players like volleyball players, for soccer, different things like that may not be the bigger sport on campus because for the first time, those players can actually use their name, image, and likeness. Say they want to host a volleyball camp. They can actually use their name, image, and likeness now and have that association where you can go and get a camp. There's a lot of other benefits that are more than just this big, giant, you see that quarterback's making $1 million and everybody's like, oh, that's a terrible thing. There's more opportunities that is opened up for all players.
And Brooke, to your point, the Cavender twins who were at Fresno State and moved to Miami, 2 years ago, I don't know if it was this way last year, but 2 years ago, they and a gymnast, Olivia Dunn at LSU, were the highest grossing NIL participants. It wasn't football
Angel
players.
Reese.
Right.
Yeah.
It was people that used their creativity in the social media outlet to generate dollars, and they generated through creativity and hard work tons of money for themselves.
It's the right way to do things. You should be able to make the money you deserve based on your skill set, based on what you're able to do, and there should be no issue with it whatsoever.
No, and that's for me. This horse is out of the barn, and I think what the NCAA is doing. First of all, I think you're right, Carey, that they've got to have their hands in the financial bucket.
That's what it is.
At some point, right?
Yeah.
And they had the chance. They could have settled with Ed O'Bannon years ago. Ed O'Bannon started all of this because he was playing a video game where he was playing as himself in a video game, was getting nothing for it. He might have even been on the cover of the game. I'm not sure.
I think he was.
And so he's playing as himself as a UCLA basketball player, but seeing not a dime from it.
For how many games were being sold.
Right.
We all were. We all were on that NCAA football game.
Getting nothing for it.
Not a dime.
And so the NCAA could have settled, and it wasn't Baker's fault, the new head of the NCAA, but it is the NCAA's fault that this horse is out of the barn. And again, what'll happen is if he tries to implement this, another player will go back to the Supreme Court and the NCAA will be shot down again. So I think it's time for the NCAA to just deal with reality that you are really a non-entity entity at this point.
I agree.
And let's see. Trevor Lawrence hurt last night in the Jaguars' loss, but we don't know the severity of the injury. He'll have an MRI later
high ankle
today.
sprain, right?
That's what they're thinking.
Couple weeks, at least.
At least, yeah, maybe for the year.
Hey, you pay your left tackles, man. Don't get pushed back into the quarterback.
Yeah, get a left tackle. Well, they took a left tackle in the first round who isn't playing.
Yeah,
that's your Rush Hour Reset. Coming up, we're going to talk to college football analyst for 24/7, former St. Louis area coach and childhood friend of Carey Davis. Carl Reed joins us next on 101 ESPN. A couple of weeks ago, I was out at Ambassador Midwest Floor in Chesterfield Valley, and Laura Taylor showed me around their incredible showroom. And I found out so many things about flooring that I was not aware of, and you can learn so much about flooring. If you're in the market for new floors for your home, you need to head to Ambassador Midwest Floor, either in Chesterfield Valley or in Glendale. And you can go to ambassadorfloor.com, and especially at this time of year, if you're thinking about new flooring, how about flooring your family with new flooring? And here's a really cool deal at Ambassador Midwest Floor. You can buy a gift card of $500 or more and get an extra 10% bonus. And not only do you get the gift card and you get the bonus, but you're also going to get a really cool digital photo frame with a lot of different looks of flooring that you might be able to choose from. You and your family will love it. Every kind of flooring, all the famous brands, with an extra 10% off. Names like Mannington and Robbins and Bruce and Cardine and Stanton, among others. Let the design staff at Ambassador Midwest Floor help you choose the best floors for your budget and style. They're incredible, and the display is incredible, and so is the array of different flooring that you can get. Get started at ambassadorfloors.com and then head on out and get flooring for your holiday season at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
To me, this is a travesty to the sport, because we go out there on the field and we play the game. And regardless of whether it looks good at the quarterback position, regardless of whether we win with offense, whether we win with defense, the name of the game is to win. And that's a reason never before has this not been done. Winning a Power 5 conference, going undefeated, and not getting into the playoff. So I understand we want to look at style points and who are we going to get for the best matchups. But that's not what this is about. This is about understanding to get the 4 best teams.
That is Booger McFarland talking about the elimination of Florida State from the group of 4 that wind up going to the championship, and Alabama makes it. Texas makes it. Brooke, Carey, and Randy, and we go to the celebrity line now, and Carl Reed, an epic coach in the St. Louis area, now an analyst for CBS Sports, joins us on 101 ESPN. Carl, always good to have you with us on the show. How you doing this morning?
Oh, it's always good to be here, guys. How you doing?
We are doing well. Now, I didn't warn my partners here that you are an SEC homer, so I know how this conversation is going to go when you have the Alabama team making it into the playoffs, where I particularly don't feel that they should have. Florida State undefeated, Alabama one-loss team. Tell me your thoughts about it. Although I know, tell everyone else your thoughts, please.
Well, you know, Carey, there's no way that you're going to lead the SEC out of the playoffs. There was no scenario, whether it's viewed as right or wrong, where the SEC champion, a one-loss Alabama, was going to get left out of the playoffs. And I can see it coming down the stretch. The only thing that could have changed it is if Travis was not hurt for Florida State. That would have made it a different conversation. But with him being hurt and the way Florida State has looked offensively since he's been down, there was no way that Alabama was going to be left out of the playoffs.
Now, you go by Coach Reed, so I know you were a coach at one point, so you understand the basics of football. There are 3 phases in football. You got offense, you got defense, and you got special teams. And that Florida State team, defensively and special teams, is an elite team. They played extremely well all season long. They beat an LSU team earlier in the season, beat the brakes off them 45-24. So this is a team playing on their 3rd-string quarterback, a freshman, true freshman. Their 2nd-string quarterback more than likely would be back for a playoff run had they been allowed to make it.
Yeah, you're definitely right. There are 3 phases to the game, but there's a 4th phase too, and it's called business.
Say that.
Somebody that played in the National Football League like yourself should understand this is business, right? And nobody wants to watch Florida State 2nd or 3rd-string quarterback play against Michigan, and that's just the truth. That's the nature of it, and it's unfortunate. I actually picked Florida State at the beginning of the season to win the national championship. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Norvell, but I knew that as soon as he went down, that it was going to be ugly for him if those other quarterbacks didn't play well. Now, if the backup quarterbacks had played extremely well and they did not miss a beat offensively, I do think Florida State still would have got in.
Coach Reed, I was just laughing over here because I know that really stung. We were talking about that yesterday. Carey and I were going back and forth, and you and I, both SEC fans, because, as you know, it just means more. Do you think that the committee... Carey hates this conversation so much right now. Now, I think that they made the right decisions, and obviously you think that Alabama was the right choice, but is there any of the other choices that you were questioning or liked?
No, I think that was the clear choice. I think it was the correct choice. And Brooke, you're right. Carey does hate it, but it does mean more. I'm going to tell you guys a story of how much more it means, okay? Because in what was it, Carey? It was 2000, 2001. Illinois. Carey was playing for Illinois. They had a great team.
We don't have to bring that up.
So we're going to bring it up. They won the Big Ten. And so I was a student and a college football player at Austin Peay State University in the state of Tennessee, and I was sitting down with all my college teammates, and we were about to watch my boy, Carey Davis, in Illinois play in the Sugar Bowl. And I'm in there telling everybody, man, my guy is going to get busy. Illinois is going to get busy against LSU tonight. And LSU pulled Illinois' pants down and took the belt off and beat them like stole something in the Sugar Bowl, right? I lost a bunch of money betting that night, and Carey still hasn't paid me back. And he's made enough money to pay me back, right? But if anybody knows that it just means more in the SEC, it's definitely that guy sitting in the studio with you.
It's ridiculous, man. Listen, what happened
from the top row.
2001 has nothing to do with what's going on right now.
Listen, what it does have to do with, though, that the SEC has just kept rolling out national championships and big game bowl wins. It's just the truth about the truth. It's why the people in the great state of Missouri decided that being in the SEC was necessary.
Hey, Carl, of the 4 finalists, who's the best team?
Alabama.
And what makes them better than Michigan, better than Washington, better than Texas?
They're the only team that has a complete team. They can win in the passing game. They can win running the ball. They have a dynamic quarterback. But I don't think anybody has a player like defensively. They have 4 guys on the defense that'll be first-round picks. I think that they have the best coach that we've ever had in college football. And in those situations, he has just proven time and time again that he's really, really tough to beat in those situations.
I want to shift gears a little bit because yesterday you had your transfer palooza, which you couldn't join us yesterday because you were talking about all the transfer portal, people that are going in and coming out. What are your thoughts on that right now and how that's going for college football? You got Kyle McCord from Ohio State, the starting quarterback, deciding to enter the transfer portal before the bowl game even takes place. What are your thoughts on the state of college football and transfer portal?
Well, it's turning into a complete business. Kyle McCord, Ryan Day said in his Cotton Bowl press conference he would not commit to Kyle McCord as the starter in the Cotton Bowl against the University of Missouri. And 24 hours later, McCord goes in the transfer portal. A lot of pressure on those guys because they haven't beat Michigan. Imagine going 11-1 and you lose to Michigan and everybody wants you fired. everybody wants the quarterback going. And so Ohio State is going to be in the market. Cam Ward is a guy that they're going to be talking to, as well as Dante Moore. So, and what's the kid from Duke? Riley Leonard is another guy whose name came up in the conversation yesterday. So if you're a high school football player right now, what I would tell you is that you have to really look at what's in front of you and understand how much of a business this is. If you go to a school and you don't play well or you don't play up to standard, there is going to be changes, and they're going to be immediate and sudden. And so I'm still surprised by going into year 5 of this, how many players are unprepared for the business part of it when the examples consistently getting put in your face over and over again.
Coach Reed, I know that you are a big fan of Mizzou and everything that Eli Drinkwitz has accomplished this season. What do you think about Mizzou facing Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl?
Well, I think that the matchup is going to come down to a couple of things. I don't know who's playing. Is Marvin Harrison going to play in the bowl game? I think that's a big decision that still has yet to be made. Obviously, Ohio State starting quarterback is not going to be their plan, so they could potentially be shorthanded, which would make the University of Missouri the favorite. But I think that Mizzou is in rarefied air in terms of getting able to play in the Cotton Bowl after a 10-win season. I think it would definitely be a huge momentum for their program to get a win over Ohio State. And it also helps with recruiting because Ohio State recruits a lot in St. Louis. It's a place they come to consistently to get kids. 4-star receiver at CBC, Jeremiah McClellan, is committed to Ohio State. It can help Mizzou tremendously in recruiting if they find a way to beat Ohio State, even if they're shorthanded.
Hey, Carl, Mizzou obviously is going to lose both Cody Schrader and Nate Pete. Two-part question. Do they have a running back on the roster to replace those guys? Or is there a running back in the portal, or will there be a running back in the portal that could be a replacement for a guy like Schrader?
They are very, very excited about Jamal Roberts, a young guy, came out of St. Mary's High School that has a bright future ahead of him. But they are definitely going to be in the transfer portal looking for an impact running back. You got to, at that level, you got to have 2 and maybe even 3 guys who can play. Cody Schrader, a guy who can play every down, is an anomaly. Carey will tell you that's old school football where you got a 3-down back that plays every down. He's very rare. You got to have some guys in there nowadays that can share the load.
It's always good to hear your voice, and it's great to hear your opinions, even though Carey is kind of frowning about your opinions.
I don't like it. He knows I don't like his opinions. We texted as soon as the Bama game was over. He's like, oh, Bama's in. I'm like, the hell out of here. You don't know what you're talking about. And so then he texted me the next morning, I told you that Bama was in. You don't have to text me in that madness, the nonsense, man.
Carey, listen, man. Listen, I know that you're a Big Ten fanatic. You played in the Big Ten. You had a great career there. A lot of people don't know for your listeners because he's not going to talk about himself. State champion in high school, Hazelwood Central. Big Ten champion at the University of Illinois. Super Bowl champion of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Was just a great player, great teammate, and has always been a great friend. But he is wrong about this.
You buttered it up and buttered him up for that.
He is wrong about this. No, but I from a business standpoint, I talked to Coach Prime about this yesterday on my show. There was no way the SEC would be left out.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's why we have the playoff, is so that the SEC can show off. I mean, the SEC's won 4 in a row and 7 out of 9, right? You can't leave the champion pretty much every year out of the mix. You're exactly right, Carl.
And a $3 billion television rights deal with Disney.
Yep.
Come on, man.
Exactly. Carl, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. And if we don't speak to you before Christmas, happy holidays.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Carl Reed, who was one of the great high school coaches in our area and now is a great analyst for CBS Sports, joining us on 101 ESPN. And by the way, there will be running backs. Even though when you look at the transfer portal rankings, you don't see running backs. You see quarterbacks all over the place and receivers. But there will be running backs for Mizzou in the portal. And I would think Mizzou will be an attractive place now based on what Cody Schrader did as a transfer.
Yeah, you're going to get some guys that are intrigued about their offense and how well they run it. You know, at every position. That's the one thing thing with winning that helps. I mean, when you get into the transfer portal, you're looking at schools that are having success and have an opportunity to maybe win a conference championship or make it to a conference championship game. And Mizzou, right now, is right there in that light. So that is a good landing spot for some of these guys in the transfer portal.
Coming up, the Cardinals are down in Nashville for the winter meetings. We'll talk about some of the rumors floating around the Redbirds next on 101 ESPN. Hey, guys, as we get older, sometimes we don't have the energy and the physical stamina that we had before, and we think, well, this is just what happens when we get old, and that doesn't have to be the case. You can feel like you want to feel and like you used to feel when you go to Mentality at lowtusa.com. They have fabulous clinics both in Chesterfield and South County, great people to work with, and they have an FDA-approved testosterone treatment that will restore that energy. Because what happens is, as we age, as we get past the age of 30, our testosterone level drops, and that's what provides us so much of the energy and the motivation that we have. Right now, if you're fatigued and tired all the time, and you are in your 40s or 50s or 60s, very well could be decreased levels of testosterone. Maybe you're moody or irritable, or you have decreased mental sharpness. That could be an issue of low T. That's why you should check out Mentality. And they're going to work with your insurance company to make sure your out-of-pocket expenses are as low as can be. Go to lowtusa.com. Make an appointment at one of their clinics. Tell them Randy sent you, and feel like the guy that you used to be and you want to be with Mentality.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Last night, the Blues get out of the desert with an overtime win over the Vegas Golden Knights, 2-1. They'll try to replicate that back here in St. Louis on Wednesday night as they will host the Vegas Golden Knights. It's an 8 p.m. puck drop here at home, which means you'll have a 7 p.m. pregame right here on 101 ESPN. Tonight, though, on the slate, you have some Big Ten basketball, the Jimmy V Classic. It's the 7-1 and 11th overall ranked FAU Owls facing off against the number 20th ranked Fighting Illini. They are currently 6-1 on that season. You can catch that game with a 5:30 tip-off on ESPN tonight. That is your Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
You're right, Randy. With a bad back, you shouldn't be playing second base because you have to bend over a lot. What Gorman needs to be is the DH. That's the only position that they should have him or else trade him.
Thank you, Janet. Can't disagree with that. It's hard to bend over when your back is sore. And if there is a chronic back condition for Nolan Gorman, and there are people within the organization who think that very well could be the case, then maybe the move to make is to either move him or make him your designated hitter, which, by the way, you have. He can be your DH, and I would guess that if the Cardinals go to war with what they have right now on their roster, I would think that Gorman would be their designated hitter for most of 2024. Wouldn't you think?
I think so. I think he's a really good baseball player. I think when healthy, if he's able to stay healthy, the one thing that scares me and should scare most people about back injuries, I told you I was dealing with back issues for a while, and he didn't do it. I was dealing with back issues for a while, and so no.
About a week back?
Yeah, about a week back. And so
I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. But I went to a doctor, and the doctor literally told me, this is a back specialist a surgeon who does back surgeries, and he told me, if you have back issues, the worst thing you can do is have back surgery. This is a surgeon telling me this because it's a 50-50 chance that it could be great or it could be really bad. But constant back issues really impact everything that you do. So, whether it's swinging, obviously, like Janet said, bending down and fielding ground balls, you don't want to have those lingering issues. So he has to figure out a way, and all of the guys that have had injuries to their backs, obliques, figure out a way to strengthen your core, make sure you're ready to do all of the physical necessities of playing that position, playing that sport. Hopefully it's not something that lingers or carries with him for the remainder of his career. But if it is, it can be problematic.
Now let's talk about left-handed hitters, because the Cardinals, according to Derek Gould, have drawn interest from other teams for both Dylan Carlson and Alec Burleson. But it seemed pretty clear from John Mozeliak on MLB Network that the Cardinals are going to part ways with Tyler O'Neill. It doesn't seem like there's any question that he will not be a member of the Cardinals on opening day.
Yeah, I think you made that about crystal clear, Randy. I think clear as possible that they're going to be moving on from Tyler O'Neill. I think it would be absolutely crazy if he's still here by February. But I think looking at the other things, he mentioned Lars Nootbaar, Tommy Edman, and then Jordan Walker solidifying your outfield, and then you're going to have Dylan Carlson be that fourth outfielder. And just going back to at-bats for guys, how do you kind of see things panning out with Wilson Contreras and Ivan Herrera? And even do we think that, because we saw it last season with Paul Goldschmidt where he wasn't starting as much, how will this all kind of pan out if Nolan Gorman isn't going to be playing that much at second base or isn't going to be your second baseman because you're going to have Brendan Donovan? How will these at-bats kind of play out for the DH position?
You're going to play the guy that you paid $85 million to play catcher. That's what you signed him up for, right? So he's going to be your
that didn't really matter last season, right?
I mean, and we saw how that went kind of haywire when they said they were going to play him at DH or decided to play him in the outfield. I think Wilson Contreras is going to be your everyday catcher, and he'll play 125 games, so 115 games, and then Herrera will get the rest of those.
I would think it'll be a lot like it was in 2004 when Yadier Molina came up. And Yadi didn't come up until May, but he played in 51 games, had 151 plate appearances. And Matheny that year played in 122, had 419. I would think it'd probably be a 3-1 split in terms of at-bats for Contreras over Herrera. And it might change based upon whether or not the Cardinals have a catching instructor to improve his game. At the moment, the Cardinals in their organization do not have a catching instructor. So is Herrera just going to get good by sitting on the bench? I don't think so. So it'd be nice to have somebody around to help him on a daily basis. But I would think that would be the split between those two catchers. And then I would say that when Contreras is off, he'll be off. Unless here's one thing they can do. If you've got a tough lefty pitcher that you don't want Gorman to face, then you can have Herrera catch and Contreras be your designated hitter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It's very interesting on how this will all kind of play out and what their plan is exactly for those other positions. Because I do agree, and I'm glad that this is the plan moving forward of really solidifying, barring injuries, really solidifying these positions for each player. But at the same time, there's a lot of other question marks of who will be playing for how much time at each position, looking at the DH position, looking at catcher, because we saw it happen last season where they were comfortable with moving Wilson Contreras around despite the contract. So it's just going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
And hopefully they kind of learned a lesson from that. You don't need to move people around, and you got to get people roles. You've got to get them into a comfort zone, and you got to put your best group of players on the field to win games. At the end of the day, give your team the best opportunity to win every day with a certain group of players. And this doesn't mean that you don't use whoever, Burleson or Carlson, because you also need to keep people fresh for the stretch run. But if the Cardinals go through the season and Nootbaar is healthy and plays 130, and Edman is healthy and plays 130, and Walker is healthy and plays 140, and Arenado and Goldie both play 130, and Mason Wynn plays 130, and Donovan plays 130, and then you have the catcher split like we talked about, maybe 100 for 110 for Contreras and 50 for Herrera. I like that. I think that's a great way to go.
On your list of things that bothered you most last season, whether it be starting pitching, the inability to get things done, the bullpen, the rotation of players playing out of position or playing a different position every single day, or batting different spots in the lineup. For me, it's the lineup and the spots in the field. That was the one thing especially early in the season, that drove me crazy. Which one would be the thing that drove you all the most crazy about last season?
Well, the fact that they were playing people out of position, and that led to a dramatic drop-off in defensive efficiency. Their fundamentals were horrible, in large part because players hadn't played the positions that they were playing. There was no need to move people around. The Cardinals were trying to copy what the Dodgers used to do when they moved Muncy around all the time, and Kike Hernandez was playing all over the place. But they didn't have those players to do that. They were trying to have players do something they were not capable of doing. And frankly, it was just stupid. You've got to put players in their best position to win, and I don't think the Cardinals did that from a defensive standpoint last year. So hopefully they'll be able to fix that this year.
I'd have to agree. I think that was the most frustrating part, because you play the fundamentals into that. Because if you're moving guys around in positions that they're not fully comfortable in, and it's changing almost every single day to game, then you're going to have those lapses in the fundamentals, because they're just trying to figure out what they're doing today. And so I think that was a big issue, and you can't have that happen this season. I mentioned this earlier with Lance Lynn and Miles Michaelis, because at the end of the day, they are just very high fly ball heavy. So you have to have a very secure and strong defense behind them.
And by the way, the Cardinals were dragged down dramatically by the inefficiency of Jordan Walker to play an effective outfield last year.
Yes.
The ability is definitely there, and we visited the reasons why he was ineffective last year. It was just complete. It was malpractice on the part of the organization to not play him in the outfield in 2022 in the minor leagues.
They didn't move him or get him reps there until they moved Harrison Bader.
Right. So hopefully those are situations that can be solved, and those players will be better if they play every day. Not many rumors floating around about the Cardinals, though. Receiving interest in the lefty hitters. O'Neill probably gone and still looking for relief pitching, and if they could get a frontline starter, they would get him. Hey, you can join in the holiday spirit by helping 101 ESPN support Operation Food Search throughout the month of December. We've partnered with STL Shirt Company to offer a special 101 ESPN online merch store this month, offering 101 ESPN t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. Plus, we brought back some of your favorite designs, including the Dunk t-shirts, Be Patient shirts, and Jamie Rivers and Brad Thompson jerseys. Order any 101 ESPN swag during the month of December, and proceeds from all sales will go to support Operation Food Search here in St. Louis. Visit the 101 ESPN online merch store now at 101ESPN.com, powered by McBride Homes. We've got rock and roll coming your way, including Cardinal ticket giveaway next on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to head over to the Fenton Bar and Grill for lunch today. If you like comfort food and it's nice and cool here in St. Louis, head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill and have that open-faced turkey sandwich. It is absolutely delicious, and they have such an amazing menu with their delectable trashed wings, the greatest trashed wings in St. Louis, and fantastic food throughout the menu and fantastic people. Stop by and say hi to Kelly and Megan and Colleen and Ashley throughout the course of the day. You're going to love everything about the Fenton Bar and Grill. Great food, great people, and great sports. When you walk through those doors, the TVs are going to be on sports, the people are going to be talking sports, and it's just a really fun group of people to be around. And don't forget their burger special, $6.99 for a burger with a side and a drink, and it is magnificent. Check it out. Check out Happy Hour this afternoon from 2 to 5. The 6 for $6 Happy Hour. 6 appetizer options for only $6 each. The Fenton Bar and Grill. It's my place to go, and I hope it'll make it your place to go as well. When you stop by, tell them Randy sent you.
Hey, it's Carey. And fellas, are you waking up feeling, like you need to go to the restroom, feeling bad throughout the night? Maybe you get up, you feel like you can't go. Well, you could be suffering from BPH. That's benign prostatic hyperplasia, or also known as an enlarged prostate. Maybe it's a feeling of you need to urinate but can't. You're straining while you're urinating. A bladder that feels full but you can't completely empty it. Well, there's good news. This is treatable and with a minimally invasive procedure that has little to no downtime at the Midwest Institute for Non-Surgical Therapy. You can visit my good friend, Dr. Akinwande, and he can schedule you an appointment. It's covered by most insurances. You want to live your life as you used to and improve the quality of your life. Listen, fellas, we know getting up in the middle of the night and going and not being able to go, it just feels awful. You may be one of 50% of men 50 years or older that are struggling from this. The enlarged prostate is a terrible thing to have to deal with. Get you some help. Get you services now, and visit mintstl.com. That's MINTSTL.com.
Let's rock today.
Hey, the fascinating Rizzuto Show, battling in the Pick'em Challenge all football season long, and you can join Carey and learn from 105.7 The Point on Thursday at Helen Fitzgerald's from 6 to 8 p.m. Watch Thursday Night Football with Carey and learn. Get signed up for a 101 ESPN and point giveaways and enjoy a cold Bud Light. It's Thursday from 6 to 8. Carey and learn at Helen Fitzgerald on South Lindbergh. The Football Pick'em Challenge is refreshed by Bud Light. Learn more at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app. Did you know about this, or did I just tell you?
No, I knew about it.
Okay,
yeah.
Glad.
Thank you. I don't know how I did know.
Yeah,
I'm like,
me too.
wait, what? Who's doing what? When, and wow.
I didn't know about
What's
that.
going on here?
Yeah.
Surprise.
And 'tis the season of giving, and 101 ESPN wants to give you free Cardinal tickets. Here's what you need to do. You can score a Cardinal holiday gift pack of tickets, and here's how you can do it. Here is Matthew Rocchio.
We have to finish out the first round of the grab bag giveaway topics. There's only 2 of them left, and I'm going to let Carey finish off it with just one of the 2. And so what Carey has to do over the next 30 seconds is he has to name all of the countries in South America. You got a whole continent to work with, Carey, and you got to name all the countries in South America. You got about a dozen to work with. So the question is, in 30 seconds, how many out of those dozen countries can Carey Davis name? Are you a geography guy, Carey?
A little bit.
And people need to text in, and what do they need to do?
They need to guess how many Carey is going to get in 30 seconds. So he's not really a geography guy. He did get more of a head start on this than he usually gets. So out of about a dozen, how many can Carey get? Hey, listen, I'm going to be transparent, all right?
He's really setting this up.
I told him, I said, think about Latin baseball players. And then the winner, the person that's closest to the number of countries that Carey gets a Cardinals-Cubs ticket pack. The 5-game pack features tickets to 5 weekend games next season to see the Cardinals host the Cubs. Cubs pack, along with all the Cardinal holiday ticket packs, are on sale now, with some starting at just $55. Learn more about Cardinals holiday ticket packs at 101ESPN.com. All right.
All right, Carey, you ready? Sorry, I got attacked by something. Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
Peru, Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, Venezuela. Oh, man, I just forgot them that fast. Whew, what am I missing? Argentina, Venezuela, Peru. Yeah, that's a good start.
That's a good start.
Did I say Colombia?
You did, yes.
Okay, well, might be
Did
out
you
of
say
gas.
Argentina?
Argentina. I said Argentina, right? Argentina.
Panama. Panamanian strongman. Is that South America?
Counts.
Does that count?
It does.
I'm helping a little here.
I
don't know
5 seconds left
either.
anything else.
Is that all you got?
I got 6.
No, there's got to be. Hold on. How much time do we have left here?
Or whichever way you want to look at it. You got
Whichever
6.
way you want to look.
You got 6.
What am I missing?
You missed Bolivia, Chile,
Of course.
Ecuador, Guyana, Uruguay, and Trinidad and Tobago and Suriname.
Trinidad and Tobago is in South America.
Is it considered South America?
Both of them.
are.
One and not the other.
Suriname and Guyana, French Guyana, are the ones. French and Dutch Guyana are the other ones you missed. So you got 6.
How did you miss
of
that?
the dozen.
I don't know. How did you miss
Bolivia,
that?
I definitely should have got.
People had high expectations.
Have
People
a
were saying
fun
8.
Google. So one time, I don't know what the reason was, but the USA attacked Guyana.
Yes.
Yeah, was that in the Reagan administration?
Who attacked Guyana?
Probably.
We did.
Oh, did we really?
Yeah, we beat the hell out of them in a day.
We don't. Shocking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah, let's see.
Flexing our muscles.
Well, if we're going to talk about this, never mind. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
No
avoid
need
those
to.
topics.
Yeah.
Fine.
It was a long time
avoid
ago.
it.
Anyways.
I had a really good week last week.
Oh, yeah.
And so did the people of Chile.
Where'd you go?
Chile.
I mean, I was in Cabo, but Henry Kissinger died, so it was a good week.
Hank.
Wow.
All right.
If we're going to talk about
what other
weird
topics do we
invasions.
have left
Well,
in the
I have
last few minutes?
Let's get into one other thing. There's been a lot of Cardinals audio. I'm just going to drop it in there. There's been a lot of Cardinals audio from John Mozeliak, but one of the most interesting pieces of audio came yesterday.
Sorry, it wasn't. It was Grenada, not Guyana.
Grenada. There it is.
You say Grenada, I say Grenada. So sorry about that, Guyanese.
Sure.
Didn't mean to. You never got attacked by us.
We wanted everyone to hear this piece of audio, though. Our friends over at Foul Territory, that's Eric Kratz and former Cardinals catcher A.J. Przinsky, they had Ryan Helsley on, and Helsley got into what caused the odd feelings in the locker room in a tough season for the St. Louis Cardinals this year. Here's Ryan Helsley on Foul Territory.
I think looking at it, as someone in the clubhouse, a lot of guys in there probably had one of their worst seasons in their careers. So, it was hard on everybody, not just the front office or the coaching staff. It was hard on everybody, showing up to the field, trying to figure out a way to win. And, maybe some guys having some bad attitudes. And I honestly don't know, but I think it was just a weird vibe all year, just coming in, expecting to win our division, and rattle off a couple wins and then somehow lose 4. We found a way to lose and we could never get ourselves out of the rut, and just kind of treading water all year. And, that was my 5th season in the big leagues, and that was the first year we missed the playoffs. So it was a weird year just to, just all around the clubhouse as a whole.
I wonder who had a bad attitude.
I was going to say, I like how he said some people had bad attitudes, people came in expecting to win, but I can't really put my finger on it. It sounded like you put your finger on it there, buddy.
Yeah.
That sounds
But he's talking about multiple people.
Right. Yeah.
Listen,
Who
you
are the
should
multiple
have
people?
a bad attitude when you're losing. You shouldn't be happy. The hell what are we excited about?
So can we agree that it was probably likely that Tyler O'Neill had a bad attitude?
Yes.
Okay. Would you think that the way that Wilson Contreras was treated early in the season, maybe his attitude was flagging, maybe not the best, but based on the way he was treated?
Frustrated?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yep.
There was obviously some issues between Wilson and some of the pitchers.
Hicks was not happy with his role.
No.
Carey said all the time he's got to be a closer or a starter, and he wasn't
one or the
either.
other.
Genesis Cabrera.
He couldn't find a role. So yeah,
it's amazing how some of these guys couldn't find a role and went elsewhere and found a role.
I'm sure that there was a couple other guys that also had some frustrations.
Hey, number 28, right? You think number 28 was
No.
bothered after he opted back in?
Oh yes. Maybe.
Nobody likes to lose, especially guys that are competitors.
Right.
Like, if you're really competitive and you are not putting together an effort that allows you to win every single night, you're going to be bothered.
By the way, this when he says there were guys that had bad attitudes, doesn't that just invite speculation from fans? That's just logical, right?
Yeah.
And we're fans, so we're just speculating here. But
of course,
as Joaquin Andujar used to say, you never know.
And maybe that's, and Mozeliak mentioned this with bringing in Kyle Gibson and especially Lance Lynn, that you kind of, and Sonny Gray, these veteran guys that also have good clubhouse presence. So maybe they realized that was a big issue last year, that things could have gotten a little bit too out of hand in the clubhouse.
And a veteran presence, good guys, can make a huge difference.
Yes.
You know what else makes a huge difference?
Talent.
Winning.
Mm-hmm.
is a cure-all.
Talent to win.
That makes a difference. Yep.
Using that talent to win, yes.
Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocky. Welcome back, sir.
Good to be back. By the way, we're not going to have the sounders at the end of the show. Sorry. Just want to let everybody know.
Thank you.
We'll make them up. We can do this. We are radio pros.
We got this.
Brooke, did you have fun today? Show us your face. Show us your face.
How about that?
How about that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot. CD. Okay.
Show us your face. You want to see your face?
There you go.
Who said that? You want to see my face?
There we go.
There we go.
And we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. We've got a balloon party with T-Mac and Ajax coming up, and then BK and Ferrario from 11 to 2, and then the Fast Lane from 2 to 6. For all of us, we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show till tomorrow morning at 7. Have a wonderful day, St. Louis.
That's right. Hey, it's Carey, and let me tell you about my good friends over at STL Design and Build. They put together a deck of mine in record time. I appreciate the work that they did. If you want to get a deck done, if you want to get work done around your house, they are complete professionals.